microscopic leg of Erling Haaland that gets there. Well, he put a decent ball in for the first goal. Didn't get an assist from it. That was Rodri's, but this is just absolutely gorgeous. Left foot. Oh, that's against the web and out of the back post. How often have you just seen this year after year from Kevin De Bruyne? The two man centre backs. Jump onto Alvarez, Kevin De Bruyne. It's going to be aggressive. Burnley. Player that James Stratford might have hoped to succeed one day. He's confident in his own ability. The new Burnley goalkeeper who's moved from Manchester City. You see how far the pitch fired. They almost got a tackle, but he went straight in there with Kevin De Bruyne. You can see how deep De Bruyne went, and the goal with him. Certainly be a bit of bravery about the way that Burnley play. Connor Roberts operating on the right. He had played on the left of defence in their final pre-season match in Germany.
So I've got a Harry's house today.
If you want to.
Here's a CABBIE. Now Carl Walker. Given away to Dara O'Shea. Taken away by Phil Foden, but will it land for Preston? Pressure Walker for Palace, and he did get there ahead of Costa. Here's Cullen. This is Fire.
Testing, 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 testing. Testing.
The throw it will take it for Burnley. Still work in progress. A lot of upheaval here. Into double figures in terms of signings with
Testing.
Here's Roberts. Heel. O'Shea. Roberts again. Colliosho. Now Costa trying to work it out to Coutinho. Colliosho with the attempt. Really good football. First time this crowd been excited by football. Before that, been actually pressure Manchester City. But Coutinho does brilliantly here. You think he's just going to whip it across. But he finds Colliosho there. And always going to be difficult with Kyle Walker in front of him. A really clever play. Stand at the back with O'Shea. Lovely ball out wide. You mentioned that's the first time you've seen the crowd get excited with the actual football. And the time has been actually the pressure on the ball to see that. Trying to get up to Manchester City. Haven't quite won in a dangerous area just yet, but they've been close on a number of occasions. Evident from the start of last season against Huddersfield that Burnley were determined not only to get out of the division with results, but to do so with style. Style they'll hope to replicate in a model that will suit the Premier League. Certainly a bit of boldness about them, despite the early setback of conceding that goal. Bernardo Silva back to Walker.
He doesn't want to stand up, does he?
Rodri. Okay. and everyone on the pitch just a moment or two to get a breather. See what I'm talking about there, rather than the actual man marking system there. It's going into Ellen Harley's 1v1. At times it was 3v3 against them. He missed the free kick. They've been really aggressive, proactive, Burnley. As I said, at times they've been a little unfortunate with having taken it off City and changed the situation. But if City can get it right, get it into Ellen Harley and get runners off them, that can also cause Burnley a huge problem. Was the player detail to look after him then? There's other concerns there as they defend this free kick, and they haven't defended it very well. The goalkeeper coming up with a save from Rodri, and so he was left exposed, but the flag had gone up.
Can I go to Harry's house? No.
Yeah, another lesson.
Well, pass them off. You don't want to watch this, like.
What was the score?
I'm not telling you.
Please.
You told me not to tell you.
I'm going to Harry's house.
Hmm?
I'm going to Harry's.
Well, the City won 3-0.
Actually, he scored.
Haaland 2 and Hernandez, I think, got another.
Hernandez.
Oh, some foreign player. I thought you wanted to watch this.
I want to go to Harry's house.
Do you want to skip this on for you though, so you can watch it later?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just under £8 million from Antalya Spor in Turkey. Well, it's a long way, isn't it? To anywhere, really, from Middlesbrough. They are faithful, they are expectant. High hopes for this season. The start of it not going as they would have hoped. They're looking for something here. Rodgers. It's Morgan Rodgers again. He's got away from Latavodia. Rodgers, Wilson sticks out a hand. And somehow that didn't end up in the back of the net as Brooks closed in. We'll give it a goal kick here. Goal kick. Change their mind to a corner. That's the right decision. It does not. Or does it? When it hits Matt Brooks, hasn't really got a clue where that ball is going. And they have given a goal kick. Comes off Ben Wilson onto Matt Brooks. He goes wide. Is that a sign? It's just not going to be Middlesbrough's day. Well, they've had the Silvera chance, which he fired over. Back on there for Matt Brooks as he closed in as Rodgers got the better of Latavodia. Rodgers had a chance. Isaiah Jones, half a chance. They've had their little moments in the second half. It's been an awful lot better, but literally has not taken advantage of being on top of the game, as I said. Well, there was a strong challenge by Fours on Latavodia.
As you say, he's got a lot to learn. Sunderland still obviously in the hunt for a striker or two strikers to alleviate their problems in the final third. And just to remind you of that team, it's Patterson in goal, Hume, Ballard, O'Nien and Sirkin, Neil, Ekwa, Roberts, Jobe, Clark and Dack. And the bench this afternoon is Bishop, Huggins, Bart, Hamir, Barr, Bennett, Pritchard, Triantis and Rigg. I'll bring you the Preston North End team as soon as I've seen that. I don't expect there to be many changes. They've got their own problems in attack as well. It's Woodman, Lindsay, Will Keane up front, Brown, Frockyar, McCann last week. Will Keane, who they picked up from Wigan, with Wigan getting relegated, an unchanged 11 for Preston North End. And in fairness to Preston, they had nothing to play for really at the end of last season. A bit more to play for now at the beginning of the season. And probably a bit more of a test today.
It's going to be a test because I would imagine the manager Ryan Lowe would have reminded them players in regards of last season, the results and how easy, shall we say, Sunderland won. Now he doesn't want that to be repeated again. So I would imagine, like we said before, the style of football what Sunderland played was fantastic. Clubs now know how to play. They're going to be in Sunderland's face, and what you've got to be now, you've got to be brave. Are you going to be brave enough to get on the ball? It's going to be a good test.
And that's what Tony Mowbray's been saying to his players. Push forwards, push forwards. I don't see you going sideways and backwards. And he doesn't mind. I don't mind, he says, if you lose the ball. What I want to see you is show no fear, take it on, push it on.
Well, we said that on Tuesday. You know, the amount of times we keep the ball going from left to right, you know, and naturally not going anywhere. You know, there's got to be end product. That's what you're looking for.
Indeed. Coventry 2, Middlesbrough 0 in the early kick-off today in the Championship. You may well have not heard. The England women are through to the semi-finals of the World Cup. They beat Colombia on penalties today, so that's great news.
I think she's gone out to
they're
tropics bit zone.
Going to play Australia, which will be very, very interesting.
It's going to be an interesting game, but I would imagine that England's looking at it, and you know, from the quarterfinals, that they're in a fantastic position, and they will be kicking themselves if they didn't get to the semi-final. Now it's a, shall we say, not a one-off game, but it's a game which they're capable of winning.
Indeed. The rain falling down here heavily again for a moment. Sorry, it didn't go to penalties, but they won 2-1. I was thinking of the game earlier on. We were listening to it on the way down, weren't we? The France-Australia game.
The France game.
Yeah, that went to extraordinary penalty shootout. England won 2-1. So just to get the record straight, but they're through. They'll play Australia in the semi-final. I was writing down the Preston team then as well, so I was distracted. I'm full of excuses, mate. I'm full of excuses.
I know. I was gonna say something, and then I said, no, I'm not gonna say anything. Just let it ride.
You should have done. No, you should have.
No, let it ride.
You know, I'm here to be corrected.
You are human.
I am, but I mean, it's just a bit distressing because we're only 6 minutes into the programme. I'm making mistakes. Doesn't bode well for the rest of the day, does it? Anyway, the rain has stopped again here. I think it's going to be one of those afternoons. It's going to be punctuated by heavy rain showers. The stand away to our left, the Bill Shankly stand, will hold 6,000 Sunderland fans again this afternoon, as it did at the end of last season. Rob Mason, Sunderland's club historian, he's on the west coast. His afternoon is probably being punctuated by showers as well, if not heavy rain, as we saw on the way down here. Good afternoon, Rob.
Good afternoon.
And we always start with the weather forecast,
yeah,
from Rob, don't we?
Rob will say it's sunny.
Night but cloudy.
Right.
It was raining this morning. It's been glorious. Now cloudy, very changeable. But hopefully Sunderland can come up with the result we want this afternoon, and nobody will be bothered about the weather.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the sun's trying to break through here, but it is still very cloudy. It's very warm, actually. It's a muggy afternoon. I've got a round.
Substitution story about the summer involved Casey Palmer. The playing pre-season friendly, 4 subs came off, 5 players went off, because Casey Palmer's convinced he saw his number, or walked off into the dressing room, and Mark Robbins is looking around thinking, we've only got 10. Did they win? Yes. Excellent. Carry on, the Palmer is off. I think those little changes there for Coventry just highlight that extra little bit of depth that they've got this season. Depth within their ranks, which is always useful. So Middlesbrough changes on the way. Ralph Vandenberg, younger brother of Sepp. Liverpool centre back has been freshman. He's about to come in. Also about to enter the fray. And Josh Coburn.
Well, the audio commentary's decided to go off. Must be something wrong with SAFC. I'll come back on, no doubt.
Just coming away with Morgan Rogers down below us. As play resumes.
Don't forget you can click the poll at the top. I've got to think Sunderland will win, lose or draw.
Here's Johnny Howson.
Ian Love.
Sure.
She's just going to do some topics. She's coming back in a minute, like.
Car's outside.
It's just down the road.
Well,
Are you working today,
no parcel come for me, sure.
No, unless Sue's put it somewhere. I don't think it is.
Women won it.
Ah, you know. Wasn't comfortable, mind.
No matter wins, wins it.
Yeah.
That's some film toast gone out there, so kids will love it.
Ah, they will do. It's warm outside, isn't it?
Getting warm.
Are you watching the women's golf?
I'm saying we haven't got no Wi-Fi, we. We're there for about 6 weeks.
Is he actually going to do anything about it?
Fucking no. If I had the money, I would get a satellite thing, and it would be another 500 quid.
Surprised you're not tempted to find another bloody site.
Well, it costs us fucking thousands to move.
Ah, you know, that's the thing. Well, you've been a bit ignorant, like, innit? I mean, because you need your Wi-Fi, yeah?
Well, he said it's BT. But
Who are you working with today, then?
Kelly.
Kelly's alright.
Aye, she's like.
Your dad wants to know if there's any parcels?
Any parcel for me? Aye, too late. Kids love it.
Really warm.
You just starting?
No, I'm not. No. 10 to 2.
Part-timer.
It's a half a shift. So it wasn't my shift, it was someone else's.
Arsenal's winning 2 and out.
Were you at work last night?
So what you know what's an Arsenal for?
This is a Sunderland's division, it's a championship.
It's not all he was, I've just seen him out on his bike. Went down past where the old shop was. Kids love it. Please. Off.
See you later. Really warm.
You just starting?
No, I'm not. No.
Seriously, what? You got skins on for?
Where's Kaden? Upstairs? Kaden! Are you coming?
It's summer. What have you got skins on for?
Leave the front door open, John. Some air in.
Bye.
Leave the front door open, John. Some air in.
Not sure what to do with that. Let's Vandenberg. Leave it alone, mate. Yeah.
Jaden, can you come and tidy up, please? You do finish to go upstairs. Ollie, can you come and get your duvet, please, and go make your bed?
Silvera try and change the picture. Well, we've got a natural striker on the pitch now in Josh Coburn, and the difference just in this one instance is there for all to see. Somebody that wants to get between the sticks, get on the end of crosses. It's not that far away, and actually, even though he hasn't touched it, it's not far away.
Take a bit, please.
Wonderful whip on that. Easily found that bottom corner. It's a left off.
Go with the stairs and stuff and down here.
This season, come clear in the next few weeks. Sakamoto.
Yeah, then. You come and tidy up, please. You do finish upstairs. Holly? Can you come and get your duvet, please, and go make your bed?
Me?
What?
Is my body not coloured? I took the key.
That's my key. Lock it when you finish, son.
Where things, dare we say it, are looking stable for once. 35 million reasons to buy a new pitch, isn't there? They have invested in the playing squad. It really looks to me as if they've invested
Go with the
very,
stairs
very
and stuff and
wisely.
down here.
Aji writes, Sheep, Sakamoto. The first end of the summer. It's been well. Now, Ralph Vandenberg. Crunching into Hackney. Really worried.
Maybe I got yours.
18 goals, making mistakes. I can see the 5 now in 3 games.
Lock it when you finish, son.
Just bringing the ball under his now that he was surrounded. Nice turn from Silvera. Another block from Cratchit. Flip side of that, conceding goals. They're not scoring. Really creative, certainly in the championship. Obviously, they scored 3 against Huddersfield, but it's got off the mark in the championship. And that will be a slight concern for what was a very, very prolific team last season. Not many teams score 84 goals and don't get promoted in the championship. That's precisely what happened to Michael Carrick and his team last season. Well, this is down to Parker when he arrived at Leeds and filled the board and going up to 75 goals to get us right in the promotion picture. Right with the flick. Here's McGree. Concern really these last 6 games that are struggling in every conceivable way in that final third of the pitch. Haven't quite found the balance. Maybe haven't got the players in that they want or that they will end up with once that transfer window closes. But Carrick will not want to lose too much ground in these opening few weeks of the season. Hackney, McGree. Faced by Thomas. Silvera. On Lenahan, Silvera again. From the way that side, helped out by Eccles. He's been brilliant, you know. With and without the ball. New field.
You're going on a bike. What are you trying to do? You're fucking so
teammate over the years, when someone has put a past their teammate, they never click. Even though people will say, well, they train together all the time, it never clicks when you make a lot of changes for me. So I think if you said, yeah, you put the 11 out, you put out at Hartlepool against Crewe, and they didn't play particularly well, that's fair enough. But I think if you take, most of the individuals out of that, what you consider to be that second 11, out and slot them into the first 11, you would think that they would be able to come in and do a good job. And clearly there are some people in that so-called second team who are itching to get into the first team, and it's up to them to prove that they're worth their place.
And that more pertinent there, because you're talking about Gooch, Pritchard and Bart, three of them.
They're all subject to transfer speculation. Come the beginning of September, they might well have gone. Equally, they might not. Who knows? None of us have really got a crystal ball, but all of them are very capable players, very capable of doing a job in the Championship for Sunderland. And certainly, if any of those three players you've just mentioned were able to come into the team this afternoon,
Come back off again, like, what's it playing at?
it never clicks when you make a lot of changes for me. So I think if you said, yeah, you put the 11 out, you put out at Hartlepool against Crewe, and they didn't play particularly well, that's fair enough. But I think if you take, most of the individuals out of that, what you consider to be that second 11, out and slot them into the first 11, you would think that they would be able to come in and do a good job. And clearly there are some people in that so-called second team who are itching to get into the first team, and it's up to them to prove that they're worth their place.
And that more pertinent there, because you're talking about Gooch, Pritchard and Bart, three of them.
They're all subject to transfer speculation. Come the beginning of September, they might well have gone. Equally, they might not. Who knows? None of us have really got a crystal ball, but all of them are very capable players, very capable of doing a job in the Championship for Sunderland. And certainly, if any of those three players you just mentioned were able to come into the team this afternoon,
So what would you say?
Lilac.
Lilac, is it lilac? Purple, I'm not sure.
Lilac.
The actual lilac with the blue shorts. So they're wearing that this afternoon. Preston, of course, will be in their white
So far
and
on the poll,
very dark
67%
navy
say
blue.
win
The Sunderland
and
team
36%
is Patterson, Hume, Ballard, O'Nien, Sirkin, Neil, Equa, Roberts, Joe, Clark and Dack. The bench is Bishop, Huggins, Buslund. Say a very good afternoon to Colin White.
Good afternoon to both of you as well. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Gary. We'll be back at Deepdale very shortly. As much as Nick has given me the big build-up, I haven't really got anything else to say about that Arsenal-Nottingham Forest game, other than the fact that Arsenal are leading it by 2-0. Eddie Nketiah and Bukayo Saka towards the end of the first half. So Arsenal 2-0 up on Nottingham Forest. Yeah, and as Nick said, it was meant to be a 12:30 kickoff. There were reports that there were still 35,000 Arsenal fans outside the stadium at the planned kickoff time. So it feels like it was the right decision to delay the kickoff, and also the vast majority of them were then in by 1 o'clock. But yes, digital ticketing issues at the Emirates this afternoon. Coventry against Middlesbrough in the Championship kicked off as planned at 12:30, so it means that they are into 8 minutes of injury time at the end of that one. But Coventry 3 goals to the good. Matt Godden in the first half, Haji Wright towards the end of the second, and then an own goal from Darragh Lenihan in injury time. So Coventry 3, Middlesbrough 0 will be a full-time score very shortly. At 3 o'clock then, as well, of course, as Sunderland at Preston, there is a derby of sorts at Victoria Park. Gateshead are away to Hartlepool in the National League this afternoon. In National League North, South Shields away from home, away at Boston United. Blythe Spartans are away at Warrington Town as well, and that is the second league matches for all of those sides. The Northern Premier League season begins this afternoon. So in the Northern Premier League Premier Division, just one of our teams in that league now after South Shields were promoted out of it. Morpeth Town are away at Basford United this afternoon. Lots of our teams away from home today, which means that our featured non-league match today is in the East Division of the NPL. Dunstan are at home to Bridlington Town. Our non-league reporter is Paul Dixon. Dunstan had a terrific start to last season, Paul. They quite fancy getting off to another good one today.
Well, I hope so. Good afternoon, Colin. From a lovely setting here at Dunstan. Pitch is marvellous, sun shining, and the crowds are starting to flock in. But you're right, Dunstan need to get to a good start today. They would like a win and 3 points and set their season on their way. It's a bit of a special day. John MacDonald, who took over from Chris Swales, this is his first, what can we say, a proper game this afternoon. But afterwards in the clubhouse, there's a big presentation to ex-chairman Malcolm James, Alan Stott, who's also stepped down, was vice-chairman for years, and Frank Rankin, who was treasurer, all been involved with the club for over 40 years. So there's a big presentation. I don't think they know, so keep it quiet, Colin, please.
So, says the man who's, I hope they're not listening, for goodness sake. But yeah, huge amount of service that those three have given to Dunstan, and yeah, they deserve all the plaudits that they get. Also in the East Division, Paul, I'm going to come back to you in just a second, but also in the East Division, Ashington at home to Brighouse Town this afternoon. They're making their debut at this level. Hebburn are away from home at Grantham Town, and Consett are away at Winterton Rangers, which is a new team on me. I don't remember any of our sides in recent times playing Winterton Rangers, but that is who Consett face this afternoon. And Berwick in the Scottish Lowland League are away at East Stirlingshire. Paul, is Hartlepool Gateshead a derby?
Yes, I would say so. Yeah. Yes, I would put it down as a derby. It's probably, is it Gateshead's nearest team? I think it is.
Oh yes, I think it is by some distance in that division. Yeah, I'm trying to think who else would be up here.
I heard last night that there was probably about 400 Gateshead fans going down. So, you know, they're travelling, and it's the nearest for them to go to. So yes, I would say it's definitely a derby, and the one that could do with winning as well this afternoon. Colin.
It would be a very good start to their away section of the campaign. Yeah, York City I think is probably the next closest after that. That's definitely not a derby. So we'll give it the title of derby this afternoon. Paul, thank you very much indeed. We will get updates from Paul from Dunstan throughout the afternoon, and we will do our non-league roundup at half-time in the Newcastle United match later on this evening. We'll come back to talk about Newcastle in just a moment. But in the last hour or so, England have made it through to the semi-finals of the Women's World Cup in Australia. They came from behind to beat Colombia 2-1. Lauren Hemp scored at the very end of the first half, but that was a few minutes after a cross-come shot from Lacey Santos had gone over the head of goalkeeper Mary Earps and given Colombia the lead. Alessia Russo, though, then scored midway through the second half. England held on to reach what is now their fifth major tournament semi-final in a row, and here is the winning goal scorer.
We worked really hard as a team tonight and fully deserved it. I think that's taken nothing away from the Colombians. I think they were incredible, and they have some extremely talented players. So yeah, it was a real tough test, but every game's been like that since this tournament started. So yeah, we're all just really excited now. the Colombians were exceptional. I think you heard it straight away from the national anthems. It gave me goosebumps to see what this tournament's doing and how the fans are getting behind. Teams are incredible. But yeah, obviously Australia are the hosts, so we expect a big crowd full of them. So yeah, it's just another thing as a team we'll overcome and be ready for.
Yeah, it will be quite the occasion. So England facing Australia. The co-hosts beat France in an epic 20-penalty shootout earlier this morning, full of drama after 120 minutes without a goal. But that match, England-Australia, the semi-final, 11 o'clock on Wednesday morning. Sweden will face Spain in the other semi-final at the same time on Tuesday morning. Coventry have beaten Middlesbrough 3-0. That is now a full-time score in the Championship. So Coventry 3, Middlesbrough 0. Arsenal still 2-0 up on Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. Back on this side of the world, though, from Australia, Sunderland's game at Preston is the first of two commentaries here on BBC Radio Newcastle today, because Newcastle United begin their Premier League season at home to Aston Villa at 5:30. The Magpies boss Eddie Howe has been chatting to us about whether he'd like to add to the squad even further, that after the arrivals of Sandro Tonali, Harvey Barnes and Tino Livramento so far this summer.
Well, you never quite know. That depends on injuries to a point and suspensions and all those things. So, you know, you could be sat here saying, yes, I think we have the perfect squad, and you get 5-6 injuries and you go, Jesus, it doesn't look the same now. So I think it's dependent on that. I'd love one more player. That's what I'd love personally, and I think then we would have the ideal depth at this moment with the injuries that we currently have. But let's wait and see. You know, it depends on the deal, and it depends.
Hello.
I think we may have to be creative with this last player. But
yeah, not too bad.
Definite, because again,
Coventry's got off to a flying start.
There's nothing close on that. That's something we will need to discuss internally, and you know, it's not a case that we're close to doing any deal at the moment.
Did I predict a Coventry win? I think I did, didn't I?
From just after the conclusion of the Sunderland match, it could be any time.
A lot of people did.
Injury time that's going on at the moment, but it's likely to be around about 5:05. They will be here to take you through the build-up, and then full live commentary from 5:30. One more football story from today, because the England striker Harry Kane has completed his move from Tottenham to Bayern Munich in Germany. The 30-year-old is expected to be involved for them tonight in their German Super Cup game against RB Leipzig at the Allianz Arena. And Kane released this morning an emotional goodbye.
Enjoy the show last night, then.
I'll be the first to tell you Tottenham fans that I'll be leaving the club today. Obviously, a lot of emotions going through me right now, and sad to be leaving a club I've spent nearly 20 years of my life at, from an 11-year-old boy to a 30-year-old man now. There's been so many great moments and special memories.
So that is Harry Kane having gone from Tottenham to Bayern Munich. It also means Alan Shearer's guaranteed, you would think, to hold on to his Premier League goal-scoring record for a good while longer.
I got 2 points. What did I say? 2-0 or 3-0?
Derbyshire in their one-day cup game in Chesterley Street by 27 runs yesterday. Martin Emerson was watching.
Both sides recorded their highest totals against each other in this one.
Yeah, I think Coventry is going to be major contenders to top of the league sort of thing. You know, that's too early to say, but I've got this funny feeling that they're going to be there and thereabouts. It's a good team they are.
Michael Jones. But crucially, Liam Travaskis made a career best 76 not out late on as well.
I just think it's the playoff hangover, isn't it?
For 65 and then Brooke Guest for 63. The pressure mounted. Miguel Pretorius took 4 for 56 as the visitors were dismissed for 306 with 2.5 overs left in the game.
And Durham's next match in the competition is at home to Northamptonshire tomorrow. There will be live commentary of that one with Martin on the BBC Sport website and app from 11 o'clock. The other local fixture away from cricket is tonight in Speedway's Championship. The Berwick Bandits hosting Birmingham Brummies. That at Shielfield is at 6:30. A couple more things then in Rugby League. St Helens beat the Leeds Rhinos by 22 points to 8 to win the Women's Challenge Cup final at Wembley. That will be followed.
Dav's having loads of problems with these stream things. He's not going to renew at the end of the year. So I don't understand how he's having problems. It's working spot on.
And in golf, the leaders begin their third rounds.
I don't know what he's doing.
Shortly, actually. In the Women's Open at Walton Heath in Surrey, the American Ali Ewing 5 shots clear on 10 under par halfway through.
Is Jacob joining us today?
At 2:55.
Was he getting married again?
One of those tied for second on 5 under. Back out on the course in about 10 minutes time at 2:45. But right now we are going back to Deepdale. Sunderland at Preston in the Championship at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett are back after this.
18-year-old Ollie Little from Whitley Bay lost his leg to cancer, has then since won medals for powerlifting, works as a personal trainer, now landed a major role in Bollywood. Incredible!
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
A leg is a small price to pay for your life. I wasn't looking to do anything like sports modelling, but my dad's fiance was like, look, let's split a pocket money here and there, just give it a go. So I did. I never know what other door's going to open, so I've been cast in a Bollywood movie. It'll be coming out next year. I thought it was really good. Got to meet some amazing people, had a really good time, and I'd definitely do it again.
The sound of the Northeast at breakfast. BBC Radio Newcastle, making a difference in the Northeast.
Somebody's played 2, lost 2, eh?
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Welcome back to Deep Down. Thanks, Colin. A shout out here for
well, the one in the League Cup, didn't they?
Who are under the banner of Barry's Army at the moment. They're under a challenge, 12 days into a challenge for brain cancer research, walking 10,000 steps a day.
It's not like the new setup in the live score app. It's just got on the league table matches, players, goals and points. What about how many they've lost, how many they've won? But maybe they're not doing that because there's only been 1 or 2 games played.
Because Rob's brother-in-law was diagnosed with a brain tumour a few months ago, devastating the family, obviously. And so a win for Barry Edmonds today would be very much appreciated. He's very, very poorly at home, but I think his sister, Susan, will have the radio on listening to us this afternoon. So, Barry Edmonds, look, I hope you are listening this afternoon.
I've just got it on the iFollow on my Fire Stick.
All the very, very best. Huge
Crystal clear, yeah.
Susan's nursing you at home, we know that. You've been diagnosed.
Sunderland, I got onto iFollow with Sunderland.
It's sad. I mean, what can you say, Benno, except that all our thoughts are with you this afternoon, and fingers crossed we can bring you a win.
That's right. Just to put a smile on his face. But yeah, we all need a pick me up.
Don't we just? So yeah, all our thoughts with you, and all our best wishes with you, Barry Edmonds.
Nice to see Bradley Dack starting.
Probably won't be listening now because he's probably on his way to the game. Just to recap on that Sunderland team: Patterson in goal, Hume, Ballard, O'Nien, Cirkin, Neil, Eckworth, Roberts, Jobe, Clark and Dack. An unchanged team for Preston from the team that drew 1-1 last weekend at Bristol City. Which,
what you're just trying to search for the stream, Ant, yeah?
It's probably a pretty good result, actually.
Yeah, definitely so. But look forward to the game. You know, it's lovely conditions. I know it's going to be off and on.
It's a headache, isn't it, though, having to do that?
The pitch is in good nick, and it's how Sunderland go about
yeah,
the
you
game.
should just be able. You should just be able to just watch your team. You know, not everybody can go to the games. I mean, the hassle. The censorship's a load of bollocks.
We can go back to that. Preston had very little to
We
play
need to wake up and smell the coffee and realise, like, hey, it's not the 80s
anymore.
anymore.
Swinging one way and another. I mean, it was quite incredible. Which ended up Sunderland.
It's well aware now, it doesn't need it. Just get rid of the 3 o'clock watershed. It's stupid.
Preston, when you look back over the last few seasons historically, they've always been there or thereabouts until towards the end of the season. Then they just suddenly drop off.
Yeah,
just at the end. But they always, you know, they are certainly in championship.
Even
terms.
Israel,
definitely, you know, they're a top 10 side.
They are indeed, and they're just picking up slowly but surely. Again, you look at Preston, and like everything else, they've had their financial problems. You know, you got to remember that, and they're just starting now just to get back on track.
They've got no money to spend either, I'm told. So you know, when you say, you know, all the more remarkable that
yeah, Jacobs, you know, how you doing, Jacob?
They have maintained the sort of consistency that they have, and then that begs the argument: sustainability. Preston, a club with not much money to spend.
Good. So you're ahead again, Jacob. What's the score so far for Sunderland game?
You know, you look at the age profile. A 30-year-old in Will Keane up front, 29-year-old Brad Potts, 27-year-old Liam Lindsay, 26-year-old Freddie Woodman, 31-year-old Andrew Hughes.
Middlesbrough lost 3-0.
Ryan Ledson. The youngsters, if you want to call them youngsters, Ali McCann, 23, Madge Bokyar, 24.
Middlesbrough lost 3-0, yeah, right, son.
17. So therefore, you can understand why Sunderland fans can turn around then and suddenly say, well, why can't we be signing
I've got Samson the cat here, but he's trying to get him to sit up.
profile with more experience.
Yeah, that's right. It's all got to be ifs and buts, and you know what it boils down to. It boils down to
League Cup, I think it was, at the Millennium Stadium.
Money and how much? How much are we willing to, shall we say, fork out? You know, I think Sunderland will pay.
Oh, absolutely.
They're not going to be held to ransom.
Coventry have beaten Middlesbrough 3-0 this afternoon.
Yes, we have.
I wonder what the reaction to Middlesbrough losing their first 2 games of the season is going to be on Teesside.
Well, it's a sign of a good team. You know, last season we played well. Middlesbrough played well. Now, can they get back on track? And same with Sunderland. Can we get back on track? And as we said, we've got to find a way to win.
Well, hopefully this afternoon that way is by playing Bradley Dack.
It's quite annoying that when you got your stream on and that, and then it's got like the you can hear the tannoy in the background playing music, and I bet your YouTube picks it up on the copyright.
Inexperience of Louis Samir.
Yeah, that's right. And it was his first game, and you've got to
it's easy done.
He was thrown in at the deep end, but Bradley Dack played a lot of his football just down the road, so he'll want to perform. He'll want to perform. He'll want to show us what a good player is, and Tony Mowbray has had trust in him to bring him to the club.
How does monetization work, Ant, when you're live? What happens there?
Just a reminder that hopefully at 5:30, because we don't know how much time is going to get added on at the end of this game. Last week it totted up to 15 minutes in the end, and there's inevitably going to be more of that this afternoon. The referee is James Linnington. You may remember.
I mean, like, for getting money for monetization on your lives, does it go on views, on how many views you are live, or is it only when you stop going live and then the views after that?
December, he was at Sunderland. West Brom won 2-1 at the Stadium of Light. Anyway, so James Linnington is the referee.
Unless you don't get monetization for your live streams.
The littlest things you're going to get a yellow card for.
Yeah, I think obviously the referees have been told anything like kicking the ball away, fouls or wasting time, it's going to be automatic yellow card.
Tony Mowbray made the point though this week, it's very difficult for players to break habits of a lifetime.
Yeah, but they've got to learn, unfortunately.
Well, it says they've been told, if they've had the referees, the PGMO have been in and they've told all the players have been told what's expected of them, but it hasn't stopped the yellow cards being shown. But that said, in fairness, there was only technically 2 yellow cards last week, and they were both shown to Trey Hume.
Yeah. So, yeah, as I said, if he can get the ball down and play, and again, we all know, you get the likes of Roberts in the game, get the likes of Clark in the game, then hopefully you've got a great opportunity, because I think
there wasn't an option on me monetization when I was setting up to go live. Unless it just does it.
Then yeah, I think we can cause problems.
The Preston team, Freddie Woodman in goal, Jordan Story, Liam Lindsay and Andrew Hughes is there, 3 at the back. Brad Potts and Kean Best, the 2 wing backs. Alan Brown, Ali McCann, Ryan Ledson across the middle.
Have they just scored, have they?
Will Keane. Just a reminder of the Sunderland bench: Bishop, Huggins, Bart, Hamir, Barr, Bennett, Pritchard, Triantis and Rigg. No Lyndon Gooch, she's taken that. It's not serious. I suspect we may well see him next weekend in the squad against Rotherham, if he's still here.
If he's still here, yeah. It'd be interesting.
What minute did they score, Dav?
You know, who's going to still be here, who's coming, who's going.
82nd minute.
I think there'll be a lot of movement, that's for sure.
There's going to be a lot.
Bloody hell, he just ran from one end of the pitch to the other.
Because of the loan situation, the Premier League clubs will know
what
their business is. Will know who they're prepared to release. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Today there are no loanees in either team. That won't be the case at the end of the window.
No, not at all. I think that's something which Sunderland are looking to get over the line. Maybe get a couple of loanees in if they can't buy.
Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 1 is a latest score in the Premier League this afternoon. I was reminding you actually a few minutes ago that, of course, later on this afternoon, 5:30, we've got full commentary from St James's Park of Newcastle United against Aston Villa with Razor and Ando. We'll hear from Razor at half-time.
How are you doing?
In our game, which will probably be about the normal time, because as we saw last week, all the added time tends to come in the second half. That's when teams start to time waste. That's when teams get tired. That's when that's when you get all the substitutions. That's when you tend to see all the time get added on.
And the goalkeepers slow the game down. You know, and they've been told to, you know, rush, you know, speed things up.
Interestingly, in the League Cup on Tuesday night, the Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper, or Sheffield Wednesday, West Bromwich Albion, one of them, got booked for time wasting when his team were losing 2-1. Make of that what you will. Maybe that's a highlight of just
I'm
what
confident.
these new rules are like at the moment. I mean, I've read a lot in the week from former players, current players about. I think De Bruyne was the latest one to say it's ridiculous, all this time being added on because of the stress on the players in all the extra time they're going to have to work. I'm not quite sure he's going to elicit a lot of sympathy on that one.
No, not at all.
Oh no, absolutely
It
not.
is what it is.
That's why you've got nine players on the bench.
It's going to swing in roundabouts. There's going to be games you lose it, and you go into extra time, and you've got them extra, and you get an equaliser or a winner.
Well, I've just clicked on monetisation and it says add revenue limit. It's like, how on earth can that be?
I wonder how many people have actually got.
Not sweared, not done anything. And it's like it's coming up straight away. It's like yellow dollar sign. It's like, well, how?
So the Bill Shankly end slowly filling up with Sunderland supporters. There'll be around 6,000 of them in that stand again this afternoon. The weather's actually, at the moment, picked up. It's very pleasant. It's very warm. It's almost a summer afternoon, not quite. But I know more rain is possibly forecast to move through the afternoon as the afternoon wears on. So everyone here will be, I think, pretty much safe under cover in the four stands here, as the players are all down towards the Sunderland fans, will be applauded as they get down towards the goal line in the corner to take part in their latest exercise, and that elicits a big cheer and a roar from the Sunderland fans away to our left. So let's
I watched it. Yeah, they were really, really good.
Sunderland head coach. I spoke yesterday lunchtime with Tony Mowbray.
Tony, can I ask about, I mean, you've touched on Danny Barr and Lyndon and Alex, their situations. In your heart of hearts, I assume you don't want to see them go. I mean, it might be a situation they do, but would you prefer them to all stay?
Listen, I think the question's a difficult one for me to answer. I think, you know, I've been in football a long time. I think I understand how squads need a balance of experienced players, and I do think differing for all of them, really. Some of it's about whether you're going to commit so much of your budget to a player that might not be playing yet. He's a senior man who's, I don't know whether they've got mortgages, but I know they've got cars and they've probably got kids they've got to put in school, and they'll have outlays, and probably when you get to the last year of your contract, you start wanting to negotiate new ones. And I think if we've hit a pass where we stuck, it seems that to me. I'm, as you intimated there, really only interested in what happens on the grass. And so when we play in Luton away, I would prefer Danny Bath would be playing right in the middle and heading all the corners and the wide free kicks out of our box. But if there's an impasse of we can't get to a point where there's a new contract offer that's suitable, and we're seeing what else is out there, because as I said, if there's no sale of any of these players and the window shuts, they're all going to be here. And then, you know, I'm sure you can ask me a different question once that window shuts and they are here, of, you know, their availability. And at this moment, I'm respectful of the players. I like the players. They did exceptionally well for the club last year, in different degrees, because that doesn't mean they were all starters and all played 40 odd games last year. They didn't. But every club needs a squad, and I think senior players with intelligence and good human values are pretty critical around the football club dressing room.
Yeah, sorry, I'm
more interested to see what happens in 3 weeks' time, really, whether they're here or they're not. And I will.
Sorry, I'm just cheesed off with this monetisation carry on because I've not done anything illegal. I've just started the stream. I don't understand why it's doing it.
And making sure that pacified and they're ready, and
so I'm just
give the club and the team everything they've got. If they go, it'll be because they.
I like the fact Dak's up front. Someone who's got a bit of experience and stuff, so I'm optimistic with that.
I don't want to get
rather than just having kids on all the time.
Myself in a situation where I'm talking against the club. It's okay. I could say to you, yeah, we should be keeping.
I think, yeah. How old is he?
It's not as simple as that. There's lots of different.
He's 29.
The club could argue, hang on a minute, we've discussed contracts. This is where it is. We can't come to an agreement. There's other people asking if they want to go, and it's right for them and their families. Then they go, and so we move on and we move forward, and the same for them. So it's not quite as simple as do I want to keep them? There's lots of intricacies around the contractual situations of certain people.
A lot of people asking after the weekend's game against Ipswich why 09 started ahead of Danny Barr on a purely footballing side of things.
Did they? Right. Well, listen, Luke 09's been amazing, and I've said this a lot. I find it difficult to think about picking a team without Luke 09 in it at the moment. He brings composure, he brings quality with the ball, he sees the spaces and he steps into the spaces, he steps past the strikers with the ball, he picks the passes to the midfield, he allows the fluency of the team. And with total respect to Danny, that's not his game. His strengths are heading balls out from set plays and corners and dealing with the goal kicks. And yes, he can organise the defence with his voice, and he can pull his full-backs in and sit his midfield in. At this moment, I'm picking Ballard and 09 with all of the players there because I want to pick 09 and Ballard as the central defensive partnership at the moment.
Last year, obviously, the likes of Bennett and Barr and those young players came in, and a lot of talk that these sort of young players, they take a year to bed in and develop. Where do you see their development at the moment? Are you happy? Are you disappointed? I mean, Pierre Ekwa came in and he's hit the ground probably far better than many people expected. I mean, he's proved that again. Did you expect, and having watched Hartlepool and the game the other night, more from Bennett and Barr, or do you think their development is on course?
Yeah, well, on course, they would have hoped to have broken through the glass ceiling, I would assume. It's in my mind, they've got a much more difficult task. They're trying to dislodge Patrick Roberts or Jack Clark out of our team.
I just want to see a confident performance from Sunderland going forward. I want us to look dangerous when we go forward. None of this trying to pass the ball into the box, or none of this Clark trying to take 15 men on. It's like, I want to see,
I saw the
just better going forward.
Linguistic lady who comes and does language lessons for these lads. Just the natural integration into a football club. I don't know, I can't give you the stats.
I mean, it's nice to pass the ball in the middle of the pitch and pass it back and sideways and stuff, but once we get to that invisible line where we're on the attacking side, it's like we fall flat on our arses. I want that to change.
So they've had just about a full season. Where's their progression? All right, I'm not sure exactly how many games, as I say, but it feels as if Abdullah's well into double figures in appearances for Sunderland in the Championship. And is that huge progression from it for him? I think so. Jewison's come off the bench a few times, but he's really delicate of age. I'm not sure how old is he 18? So listen, I don't sit there and judge them other than they need to keep wanting to get better and learn and work on their weaknesses after training with the coaches. And Jewison needs to keep working on skipping past people and putting good quality balls in the box. He needs to keep working on getting in at the back stick when he's playing on the opposite wing. Abdullah has got wonderful talent and dynamic movement, and I think we all feel as if he's probably better coming in off the left on his right foot rather than playing central and too many touches and getting it dispossessed and then breaking away centrally onto our team. And so I think he just has to be patient, and the days where it's not working for Clark, he's struggling to get
Bloody
past
hell, the
it.
stream's playing silly buggers. It always does it just before
The
kick-off
option to
time.
see whether he can do it. And
Right, let's go back to Sunderland.
signs,
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite confident. I mean, on the telly now, like, there's just thousands of Sunderland fans again. Well, they're fetching about 5,000 down there, aren't they?
I think okay is okay, if that makes sense. They're young lads.
It's not too far for them to travel, really.
At a championship club, a big championship club with a huge following, and it's not easy. It's not just turn up and get in the team. They're young players who have to try and break into the team, and you know, their competition is tough for them.
And on Tuesday night, you were talking to us afterwards about this search for a striker, and perhaps the urgency of needing to get someone, and obviously the urgency of needing to get someone in sooner rather than later. But is there a question of it's got to be the right person, and there's no, you know, you're not just going to take a stab in the dark, and it could actually be a false economy for you?
See, it does feel weird playing here, like.
Really, there you go. You know, you just can sit there, and all the supporters can sit there and throw names out. Nobody works harder than our recruitment department. We have meetings at least once a week now, but generally most mornings we have in a meeting as well about what the discussions have been about overnight and where.
Well, I just think it's a different type of game because the fact there's not so much. Well, of course there is so much at stake, but you know, it was on the edge of the playoffs. The last time we played, I think it's going to be a bit more of a less anxiety type of a game, not as much urgency. It's sort of like, do you know what I mean? It's like it was edgy as seat. It's a completely different type of game. I mean, obviously they do need the 3 points, of course they do, but I think we'll see a bit more of Preston. I think it'll be a harder game for us than it was when we played them in the playoffs, just before the playoffs, should I say?
Fitting into our team and how we're doing, and the types of players we've got that will help them score goals. And yet I don't really, sitting on a Zoom call with them, I don't really feel their personality when they come in the door. Are they bouncy and full of confidence and belief in their talent, or are they a bit shy and some of the lads' personality is going to swallow them up and, you know, suppress them? I don't know. It's them's the grey areas in recruitment. I think.
Of course, it does.
You know, you're not allowed to speak to people unless their club give you permission to speak to them. And so, if you think, by watching a video, or your scout department will have seen them live.
Hey, Jacob, have you seen me voiceover video I've done for the Sunderland players?
Felt their passion or emotion.
Have a look at it. Have a look at it. You'll laugh your head off, mate.
Spend loads of money, and you think, God, me, what have we signed here? You know, he doesn't say boo to a goose.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, it's really funny.
It's a difficult process, and yet I think over the last couple of years this club has got recruitment very, very good if you think of some of the young players that this club have signed.
Total Sport North East.
Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett, MBE.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Well, bouncing here at Deepdale, as you'd expect, with 6,000 odd Sunderland fans on the Bill Shankly stand away to our left-hand side. Substitutes just starting to stroll out of the tunnel, which is in the corner on the far side from where we sit, the back of the Tom Finney stand. The players now emerging from the tunnel there, led by referee James Linnington, all in black with his officials. Sunderland, of course, wearing their red tracksuit tops, as they always do, but they're in their away strip this afternoon, the lilac and blue. And Preston North.
Well, so far on my poll, I've got 62% for the win, 38% for the draw, 0% for the loss, and 0% for match being called off due to a striker.
Roberts, Joe, Clark, and Jack. And on the bench this afternoon, Bishop, Huggins, Bart, Hamir, Barr, Bennett, Pritchard, Triantis, and Rigg. For Preston North End, it's Woodman in goal, a back three, Story, Lindsay and Hughes. The wing-backs are Potts and 17-year-old Kian Best. Midfield of Alan Brown, Ali McCann, Ryan Ledson. Maj Brockyard playing behind the experienced, now Republic of Ireland international striker, Will Keane, who for the last 2.5-3 years has been at Wigan Athletic. The players line up in front of this main stand, and the Preston North End, I think it's a skipper, is carrying a baby actually, and a mascot in front of him who can be barely a couple of years old as well, as the Sunderland players had to lean right over to slap the little lad's hands as the players work their way slowly down the line to shake each other's hands before kick-off this afternoon. Patterson will be all in yellow this afternoon. At the moment, the rain has held off. It's actually a very warm afternoon here in Lancashire. Arsenal have beaten Nottingham Forest 2-1 as the Sunderland players peel off their tracksuit tops and head down towards the bankers Sunderland fans away to our left-hand side. Most of them resplendent in red and white shirts this afternoon as Patterson heads away and just shakes hands with Bradley Dack. Bradley Dack shakes hands with Dan Ballard and his captain Luke O'Nien, and the Preston players just slapping hands as well. And, we'll be underway in a couple of minutes' time. What will unfold this afternoon?
And what do you think? What's your thoughts?
I'm feeling fairly optimistic actually. I actually feel putting Dack up front was a positive move.
Yeah. Be interesting to see how it fits in. Because I would imagine that he's not going to play as an out-and-out striker. I think
it's the old false number 9, yeah, isn't it? Whatever that means.
Whatever that
Come on.
Indeed. So, sun bursts through again. Lower half of the Bill Shankly stand, the one and only North End, as it says above on the screen, above the hangs from the roof, is half bathed in sunshine, half in shadow. But the half in shadow will not be in any way dimmed.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the start of this game, the atmosphere is good. Sunderland up for it, ready to get off the mark.
Come on, lads.
Bradley Dack about to get us underway.
I still don't know whether I like our strip, you know.
Centre circle here.
Pink one.
To the Alan Kelly end, away to our right. Rob's out wide here on the touchline. Jack Clark wide on the far touchline in front of the dugouts as the game kicks off. Back to Dan Ballard.
Wonder why we're not playing in our red and white stripes.
Across to Luke O'Nien just outside the Sunderland penalty area, and back again to Anthony Patterson to kick up through, looking for Dack, headed away firmly though by Liam Lindsay, the centre back in the centre of the 3 for Preston North End. Dack is fouled. Welcome back to Lancashire, Dack, and a free kick just inside the Sunderland half on the right-hand side. Live on BBC Radio Newcastle, double bill this afternoon. Following us, of course, full commentary of Newcastle United against Aston Villa. O'Nien out to Sirkin on the far side, down the line looking for Clark. Job just
Got 18 people tuning in. Thank you very much. Click the thumbs up and hit the subscribe if you haven't, and hope the commentary is coming crystal clear for you at home or wherever in the world you're listening.
Dan Neil then to Equa back, well, nearly a bit short for O'Nien. He's forced under pressure from Alan Brown to play it out for a throw to Preston.
And that's what they'll do, they'll try to press.
Forced mistakes here on the left. Andrew Hughes, the Welshman, who's been 5 years at Preston, back into Liam Lindsay, who was signed from Stoke a couple of years ago, out to Story, who's been at Preston again 5 years. There's a consistency about this Preston squad as it comes back to goalkeeper Freddie Woodman. He's in light blue, and he's miskicked it under pressure from Bradley Dack out into the stand on the far side for a throw to Sunderland.
Turn commentary up, please, mate, on my speaker. Very good. Yeah, I'll sort that out, mate. Just hold on, yeah.
Drops to Jack Clark, and Sirkin again trying to get forwards, and another throw, this time just inside the Sunderland half. For Sunderland to Job. Back it goes on the left to Luke O'Nien. Back it goes. It's a rash, wild pass behind Ballard. It's come out to Hume, thankfully, from Sunderland's perspective, on the right-hand side here. Ballard back to Hume, and Hume now chipping it up towards the centre circle, but one back here on the left by 17-year-old Kean Best. He made his debut last week at Bristol City, the wing-back, and back again to Freddie Woodman. 0-0. In the
there we go, Craig. Hope that's okay. I've just adjusted the volume yet, so just let us know if that's all right for you, fella.
The right wing by Woodman with his kick headed away by Sirkin. Brown trying to head it on again. Runs into Will Keane. He's tackled by Ekwa. He plays it back to Patterson. He plays it out in the penalty area to O'Nien. Sirkin wide and down the
uninterrupted
line to
commentary
Clark,
on
pushed
the
out
MACKEM CABBIE
into
channel.
touch by Jordan Story. And a throw halfway inside the Sunderland half on the left for Dennis Sirkin. Sirkin looking for some movement here. Drops to Clark.
Thanks
He's
for the
under
subscriber there already. Thank you very much.
Ali McCann. Out the ball goes for a throw to Sunderland a few yards from the corner on the left. And O'Nien, who's in the side, as Tony Mowbray explained, ahead of Danny Bart for a variety of reasons. One being that he wants O'Nien in the team, and that assumes that he sees him only as a centre-back. Ball comes back then.
Much better now, thanks, Plodger. Yeah, okay,
Hughes.
Craig, I can up it again, mate. Just a second.
Earlier today, Coventry beat Middlesbrough 3-0. Ball headed away as a ball played up by Woodman, headed away by Sirkin, who will get it back again here from Job. And it's a lob up into the Preston half, but there's nobody there in the lilac and blue of Sunderland. Dak goes to close down Hughes and Story, and finally goes back to the goalkeeper. Long kick again, breaks possibly down this left-hand side for Flockjar, the Dane. He
it's just too negative. It's just too negative, like, isn't it?
Looked like it had just crept over the goal line, but the flag stays down. Then Hume is fouled by the Dane, and it's a free kick.
Good cover by Hume.
So we're in the 5th minute. 0-0. Preston North End, Sunderland 0.
There we go. A little quite louder now. Just give us some. That's okay.
With the free kick below that bank.
Hartlepool have scored against Gateshead.
Drives this up over
it's Hartlepool 1, Gateshead 0.
Middle headed away by Lindsay. It will come back over the top of the centre backs, and that was headed away by Story.
You're welcome, Craig, mate. You're welcome, fella. If there's any problems with the stream, if it goes off or anything, just please alert me so I can get onto it, yeah?
Sunderland half, 0-0. 7th minute.
We've got to be switched on the older the game for the 90 minutes, Nick. Well, more than 90 minutes.
Well, it could be as much as 100. I hear in the week there was 120 minutes or something in one game, and you know, forget the fact the League Cup's got no extra time. A few of those games did actually end up having technically
it's back on
extra
now.
time.
It's back on.
Throw to Preston, just down from the Sunderland dugout, headed away firmly by O'Nien. Comes back to Lindsay, out to Story, trying to get it down the right wing for Will Keane, hammered away by O'Nien, back into the Preston half, and out to Hughes on this left-hand side. Former Peterborough player swings it diagonally right out on the far side to Potts, who keeps it in with his chest, cuts inside with it now and lays it off in the middle to Ledson. Ledson back down the right again here for Brown, who gets round Ekwa. His cross in for Keane is headed behind on his shoulder by Luke O'Nien.
Good clearance there by Luke O'Nien.
Good cross.
Good cross in.
Kean Best has come down or gone across to take the corner on the right here at the north end, the Bill Shankly end of Deepdale.
This is where we've got to concentrate, Nick.
Yeah.
You know, especially from set pieces.
Well, we saw that against Ipswich last week.
We've got
all the big men up for Preston. Brown and Potts on the 6-yard line. Best then, the 17-year-old, to take the
it's still buried at the stadium,
corner from the right-hand side. Swings it in with his left foot and is punched away by Patterson from the goal line.
Excellent punch.
Firm punch, almost out to touch and into touch now for a throw to Preston North End. Live here on BBC Radio Newcastle. 0-0. Multi-ball, and the referee said,
tell him,
I don't know which used the ball that the ball boy had or something. What was that all about? The ball boy places one of the balls back on the cone at the edge of the pitch.
Me watching this,
and it's going to be Best who takes this throw on this left-hand side. And he's looking for movement here. Hughes or Frothyard down the line. Well, it begs the question, doesn't it? It's finally chested on by Ledson, who's just gone down clutching his face. Clark's knocked it on up into the centre circle. Ledson's getting back up on his feet here, and the ball from McCann back through to Lindsay, and on the halfway line, Hughes to his left-hand side. In the 9th minute, Best out on the left, swings a ball in, as Sirkin gets his head on it and clears it. Out it comes to Roberts. He's on the deck at the moment. Hume picks it up, but he's under pressure from Hughes. Well done. And he's won a free
by
kick.
Preston so far. Passing it around nicely.
Every opportunity to get Nick. They're closing down, aren't they?
Hartlepool 1, Gateshead 0. It was Alan Brown that tried to get on the end of that cross, and it was cleared. It's Hume now out on this right-hand side for Sunderland in their lilac and blue. Purple is a mixture of all the colours. Seems to have gone down well though. O'Nien on the corner of the penalty area, back to the yellow-clad Patterson.
Near 50.
And then on the other corner of the penalty area, Ballard. Ballard out to Hume. Hume back to Ballard. Back to Patterson in the D, and then forwards to O'Nien on the left-hand side. Up to Job, but still inside the Sunderland half. O'Nien again inside to Ekwa, under pressure immediately from Ledson and fouled by the Preston midfielder. Another free kick. O'Nien floats one straight up to Freddie Woodman at the edge of the Preston penalty area. Now with Liam Lindsay, squares it to Hughes on the left-hand side, and he's driven it out wide, looking for Brad Potts. It's going to go to Sirkin, heads it on, looking for Clark, and it'll be won back by Lindsay in front of Dack. Brown's making a run behind O'Nien, but he's can only watch as the ball runs behind for a goal kick to Sunderland. 11 minutes almost played, Preston 0, Sunderland 0.
It hasn't taken any shape at all, has it, the game?
No, and it's been largely played in the Sunderland half, actually. With Preston playing, as you said, that high press.
And there's Hume pushed right in.
To make the channels grow.
And O'Nien's fouled.
Not Hume, sorry.
Job taps the free kick back to Ballard. Out to Dack on this right-hand side. Hume making a run forwards. Now Roberts wide in the Preston half. Down the line to Hume. Inside to Dack. Back to Hume on the right. He crosses. It's going to be headed away, though, into touch by Brad Potts over Jack Clark. And a throw to Sunderland quickly taken back to Sirkin. Sirkin now wide on the left. He has to play it back onto the halfway line. O'Nien as Preston look to push out. Here's Ballard. Ballard striding forwards on the right here in the Preston half, and out wide to Patrick Roberts. Roberts trying to come past Best, cuts inside. Now, well, he nearly got through, but the ball tapped away from him. And Frothyard trying to play it, loses it, played it straight into the path of Neil. Neil gets it back now from Roberts. Neil at the edge of the area, he should have shot. Instead, he's tried to roll it down to Clark on the left-hand side. He was in the D, he had the opportunity. Clark now low ball into the 6-yard box, is hooked away by Lindsay. Up almost to the halfway line, the touch line, and it goes out for a throw to Sunderland.
Yeah, it just makes you wonder, why didn't he pull the trigger?
Why didn't he? Because it was on his left foot?
Yeah. Well worked.
It opened up for him to have that opportunity to shoot. Here's Equa back inside the Sunderland half. We're in the 13th minute, 0-0. Hume on the right-hand side, back inside to Dack here on halfway. And Dack forwards to Hume. Hume to Roberts, back to Dack, inside to Equa. Equa just taps it back to Neil, and Neil across now to O'Nien.
He's been on PlayStation
down
Plus,
the left wing to Clark. Sirkin making a burst forwards, having to check his run as Clark tries to get it through, blocked though by McCann, and the Northern Ireland international pushes the ball out off a Sunderland
Why
boot.
he's kicking off is because you do need
throw
it
to Preston on the right hand side.
It's not there, can he?
0-0. Floodlights on, grey clouds above, but the sun is out at the moment.
How much money have we got on it?
Referee ushering Jordan Story back a few yards, about 8-9 yards from the corner on the right. And down the line, Potts heads it on, brought down by Sirkin, played inside, Equa, but he's under pressure, and Potts has it now. Through to Keane. Keane looking to swing it across to Best here on the left-hand side on halfway. Roberts closes him down, but it's floated up into the hands of Patterson, looking for Keane. Patterson bowls it out quickly down this right-hand side to Hume. And Hume, in yellow in the orange boots, swings it right. He's giving it straight to Potts.
That's poor.
On the halfway line, in the middle. Back out here on the left, and that's just invited pressure back onto Hume from Best, who swings the cross into the penalty area. Brown will give chase, it spins away from him, it's a throw in the corner to Sunderland.
Yeah, we've got just
What you getting excited? What you getting excited about there,
the lad Best, he's got a lovely left leg. Yeah. He's delivering a goal. Pad.
Throw for Sunderland, which Luke O'Nien has come across to have a word with Sirkin. Quick word, and Sirkin, he's just the referee's letting him take the throw, and I think he's having a word with Dack, the referee. Sirkin throw to Dack, back to Sirkin. A bit of ricocheting going over on the bit of pinball in the corner, but it's come out eventually here, down back towards the halfway line, and back to Hughes in the middle of the Preston half, and back to Woodman. Clark goes to close down. The kick headed on by Potts, looking for Keane. O'Nien's got in front of him on the goal line and manages to shepherd it, marshal it behind. Patterson passes it out to Equa in the 16th minute. Southampton have equalised. Southampton 1, Norwich 1. Neil to Dack, back to Dan Neil. Neil in the back of the centre circle, plays it across to Sirkin on the left-hand side. Sirkin into the Preston half. He's got Clark wide ahead of him, but he plays it back to O'Nien. And across here from O'Nien to Ballard, and Ballard forwards down the right to Dack. Roberts ahead of him, back to Dack. Tried to flick it down the line, it comes off the head of Best. It's a throw on the right here for Sunderland, which Hume will take. Hume, third of the way inside the Preston North End half, and Dack comes across, taps it back to Hume on the touchline. A stretch from Frockyard to try and get it off him, but it's inside from Roberts to Hume. He quickly gets it away from McCann to Neil, and Neil swung it across. Good ball to Jack Clark. Potts in front of him. He's gone round him.
What minute are you guys on?
Onto the goal line, trying to pull it back here, and not behind for a corner.
Excellent play, Jack Clark. Great ball by Dan Neil.
Sunderland's first corner. Bradley Dack's going to take it. Booed, of course, as a former Blackburn player, by the Preston fans in the Alan Kelly stand away to our right behind Woodman's goal. Roberts across on the touchline as well. Dack will take the corner though. He's played it short to Roberts with his left. He swings it in. Lindsay heads it out. It's a break possibly here. Pushed, well, McCann tried to push it on, but he played it straight to O'Nien. Now to Clark on the left. He swings a ball in the box.
Great ball in.
Dack was looking for it, but it's headed away. It's going to go out for another corner. Pressure in the box.
Yeah. He'd be under the spotlight, wouldn't he? Jack Clark. I wouldn't be surprised if there's one or two Burnley officials here looking at him.
Here's, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, scouts sitting down in front of us here, actually.
Yeah.
All having conversations. Here's Dak on the right. And Dak, again, plays the corner short to Roberts. Roberts back to Dak. And he's played it back to Roberts. Roberts on the right, swings the ball in low. And it's headed over by Sirkin. Dipped, got his head under it, but lifted it up over the crossbar. And so it's a goal kick to Preston, and it's 0-0 in the 18th. It's into the 19th minute now here at Deepdale. It's a bit of a purple patch for
they're starting to get into the game, aren't they?
So goal kick then, Freddie Woodman on this right side of his 6-yard box. Everybody on the far side on halfway. Southampton 2, Norwich 1. Keane trying to hold it up here for Brown. Brown trying to get away from Ballard. And Ballard's calling for Roberts to come back and assist. Then Ballard makes the challenge. It's a throw to Preston on the wing. The challenge was made. Ballard jogs back into position. It's come back to Hughes here and back in the middle to Lindsay inside the Preston half. And he plays it to his right now to Story. Down the line, Potts. Inside to Mads Frokjar. Now with Ledson back to Lindsay. Cross here to Hughes again, and he taps it back in the middle to Lindsay. Out to the right again to Story, and then down the touchline on halfway to Potts. Back to Story. A firmer ball flicked on by the head of Frokjar, looking for Keane, but O'Nien
make sure
he nearly slipped, and he slipped it back to Patterson. Keane went to give chase. Brown was waiting to pounce, but Patterson's got it away. Job's brought down. Ledson's caught him.
How much is it, mate?
Leg outstretched.
Good touch by Dak.
It's not £3.
Joe picks himself up quickly.
£6.99 a month, I think.
Equa takes the free kick out to Hume, and now Dak on his right-hand side, back to Hume. And Hume on the right in the Sunderland half, plays it back to Dan Ballard. Squares it to O'Nien. West Bromwich Albion 1, Swansea 0.
It's you are.
O'Nien to Equa. Leaves it to Neil, and Neil trying to play it back, crashes into Will Keane, but it breaks for Hume, fortunately, who leaves it for Dak. Down the right wing for Roberts. He gives chase. Best going with him. Roberts on the goal line, gets away from into the penalty area. Then Best, actually very well done. The 17-year-old just flicked his left foot round it for a corner. Roberts could easily have got away there. Southampton 2, Norwich 2. 21st minute, Dak and Roberts again down on his right-hand side for the corner. Dak, right arm raised. Roberts just to his left, 15 yards away.
Would you want me to put £6
this time it's going to be driven into the back of the penalty area. O'Nien beaten to it, but he's fouled the defender. And a free kick in the D for Preston North End.
No, it's wrong.
BBC Radio Newcastle. 21 minutes played, 0-0 at Deepdale.
Really.
Defender picks himself up. The referee has a quick word. Encouraged to see with all the free kicks, the referee's not actually booked anybody yet, so he's not he's not going to be card happy by the looks of things. Rotherham 1, Blackburn 0. High ball headed away by Sirkin from the Preston free kick. Equa pulled down, was he? The referee no, it's a throw to Preston on the far side, halfway inside the Sunderland half.
Well, cancel one, isn't it?
Long throw, Nick.
It's going to be, isn't it? Keane and Potts in the penalty area.
He's not going to stand there whinging over a fucking computer game when he probably won't eat this week.
18-year-old Ollie Little from Whitley Bay lost his leg to cancer, has then since won medals for powerlifting, works as a personal trainer, now landed a major role in Bollywood. Incredible!
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
A leg is a small price to pay for your life. and wasn't looking to do anything like sports modelling, but me dad's fiance was like, look, let's spend a pocket money here and there, just give it a go. So I did. I never know what other door's going to open, so I've been cast in a Bollywood movie. It'll be coming out next year. Yeah, I thought it was really good. Got to meet some amazing people, had a really good time, and I'd definitely do it again.
The sound of the North East at breakfast. BBC Radio Newcastle, making a difference in the North East.
I'm going to be honest, don't know what happened there, but we're going to get Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett back as soon as we possibly can. It is still goalless at Deepdale. Preston 0, Sunderland 0, and as soon as the Gremlins are sorted out, we will be back with them towards, well, we're not really getting towards the end of the first half hour. We're just about halfway through it, 24 minutes gone. They were a little bit late in starting at Deepdale. Elsewhere in the Championship at the moment, there have only been 5 goals in the 10 games that kicked off at 3 o'clock, and 4 of them have come in the same game. So it's Southampton 2, Norwich 2. Jan Bednarek equalising for Southampton after Josh Sargent had given them the lead. Adam Armstrong, formerly of Newcastle, then scored a penalty for Southampton after 21 minutes to put them 2-1 up.
So we know
a couple of minutes later, Gabriel Sara equalised for Norwich. So it's Southampton 2, Norwich City 2. And West Bromwich Albion are 1-0 up on Swansea thanks to Semi Ajayi after 18 minutes. But that's it as far as goals in the Championship are concerned. Of the games that kicked off at 3 o'clock, there was one early one as well, which had Coventry beating Middlesbrough by 3 goals to 0. Matt Godden in the first half, Haji Wright, and then a very late Darragh Lenihan own goal in the 90th minute, giving Coventry 3 goals and all 3 points. In the Premier League then, Newcastle United again, Aston Villa kicks off at 5:30, but Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest in the early kick-off. It should have been a 12:30 kick-off. It didn't start until 1 o'clock because they had issues with their digital ticketing, but in the end, Arsenal take all 3 points on the opening day of the Premier League season. Eddie Nketiah and Bukayo Saka in the first half for them. Taiwo Awoniyi made it a little bit hairy at the end. Nottingham Forest getting one back with 10 minutes to go. But it finished Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 1. No goals in the Premier League in the 4 games that kicked off at 3 o'clock. So Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Luton, Everton, Fulham and Sheffield United, Crystal Palace all goalless. We'll do the non-league latest scores. We might end up going to Paul Dixon in a minute if we can't get Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett back. Apologies, we have lost them at Deepdale, but knowing Nick and Gary, they will be working very hard and trying to fit all the right cables in the right places to get themselves back up and running as soon as they possibly can, and we will go back. Whatever it is I happen to be saying at the time, we will go back there as soon as we can. So non-league wise, we will let's go to Paul Dixon now. I'm going to bring you the scores from Gateshead and Blythe and that sort of thing. We'll do that in just a minute though. Paul is watching Dunstan against Bridlington Town in the Northern Premier League East Division. Paul, how has the first half an hour or so gone?
That's virtually the same.
It's gone very well for Dunstan.
That's virtually the same goal. What did you score? Hit the ball into the box, deflected into the goal. It's virtually
from Dunstan. Had 2 good chances early on. Pearson and Carr really should have done better, but the shot wide of the target. Bridlington did have a chance on 8 minutes. Great work down the right by Ali Amateur, who just whipped the ball across. There was nobody there. It was a real good chance for the visitors. But then on 10 minutes, Dunstan deservedly went ahead. Brilliant work down the right-hand side by ex-Newcastle engaged Craig Baxter, and the ball was brilliantly headed into the roof of the net by Jack Maskell,
I don't know, it's the year 2023,
from Horden, who scored lots of goals last year. That's his first goal. That'll do him the world of good. But Dunstan are playing really well, controlling the game, and I think the manager, John McDonald, who was his first game of the season, will be very, very happy at the minute.
Paul, thank you very much for the moment. Apologies if you're trying to listen to Sunderland's game at Preston. We are having technical issues at Deepdale, and Sunderland are having issues as well. They have gone a goal down, and Nick Barnes can tell us what's happened.
Yes, thank you, Colin. Sorry, someone pulled a line out just as Will Keane has given Preston the lead in the 25th minute. Shot from just at the edge of the penalty area. Low ball played into the empty net. Patterson appeared to be wrong-footed again.
Yeah, it's taken a deflection.
Took a deflection from the edge of the penalty area. So Preston lead by a goal to 0. Our apologies for that. Beyond our control totally. So we've got Preston commentators behind us. I'm not sure if it was just an inadvertent foot. As Roberts tries to get in, he tripped on the edge of the Preston penalty area by Hughes. It'll be a free kick to Sunderland on the right-hand side of that Preston penalty area. So, was that a card for Hughes there? Hard to see. Suddenly, referee's marching back the 10 yards.
You've got to say the goals come out against the run of play,
really. Did at the point of you were just saying that Sunderland were enjoying that purple patch, and
do you not think that
Preston take the lead?
It's a deflection.
So 1-0 Preston lead. Free kick though on this right-hand side of the penalty area.
It's a deflection. Do you know how Broadhead?
And it's taken by Roberts. Swings it in straight to the goalkeeper. Had to take it at the second attempt. Is it just bobbled out of his hands? But he's got it safely. And everybody heading back upfield for Preston and Sunderland. So Dak stands alone just outside the penalty area as Woodman takes the kick, and it's headed away by Sirkin off the head of Ledson. Back it comes into the centre circle. Hughes tapping it back to Lindsay, forwards to McCann, under pressure immediately from Job. Job holds off the pressure, and Ekwa out wide on the left-hand side then to Sirkin. Sirkin back inside to Job on halfway, and across on this right side. Ballard's making a burst down the right wing with Roberts. Roberts trying to come in past Best, turning him one way, then the other. Now taking him on into the penalty area, skips through. Roberts, a block though as he shot with his left foot from McCann. It's another Sunderland corner.
Excellent play by Roberts.
Very good run from Roberts.
I think all of a sudden Best, the young lad is being tested, isn't he?
Yeah, he was then, but earlier on he'd looked at very sharp. Roberts now to take this corner on the right-hand side. Dak is down there with him on the touchline. It's tapped to Bradley Dack. Inside here to Clark on the right edge of the penalty area. Trying to get, he's pulled down.
Penalty.
His shirt clearly clear from behind. And a penalty to Sunderland on the half hour. What further action is the referee going to take?
There's no argument about that.
No, clear pull on the shirt. And Sunderland the opportunity to pull level here. And Clark and Roberts in discussion, and Dak just taps Clark on the back of the head as Jack Clark's going to take the penalty kick.
Has he been booked for that then?
Pull the game level.
Has the Preston player been booked for that?
Clark then just stands over the ball at the moment. Freddie Woodman being told by the referee to step back, trying to make himself big on the goal line. Jack Clark stepping back now towards the 18-yard line. Clark against Woodman, who's bounced from one side to the other, then up and down. Clark! Into the bottom corner!
Well done, get it.
It was almost saved by Woodman, he went the right way, but Clark scored. Clark levels in the 31st minute. Sunderland pull it back to 1-1. Jack Clark from the penalty spot.
You've got to say it's a good penalty because it's ended up in the back of the net.
Yeah.
No matter which way you look at it.
Yeah.
He's dived the right way, the goalkeeper.
So all level here at Deepdale. Preston North End 1, Sunderland 1. Jack Clark from the penalty spot. And as you said, their goal came against the run of play. Sunderland back on the front foot. And the youngster Kean Best there showing his inexperience as Clark tore past him into the penalty area. Throw to Preston on the far side in the final quarter of an hour of the first half here at Deepdale. And as you say, no question about the penalty. The pull on the bottom of the shirt was absolutely clear. Absolutely clear. So Sunderland fans in full voice away to our left-hand side. And throw from
what's happened
Sunrise
there?
come back into the path of who was that on the far story, was it?
Silly. giving away a needless corner there.
It's a corner, the clearance which gone backwards over onto the roof of the net. So corner to Preston. Best goes down to take it. Preston's second corner.
Concentrate here, boys. We've just got back on level terms.
All the big men up in a line. As three also in the 6-yard box. It's swung in by Best. Headed clear by Ballard this time. Headed back by McCann out to Frockyar. And then McCann again back out to Frockyar on the left. Low ball into the penalty area. Blocked by Dan Neal, who's fouled by... Who's
well done, Dan Neal.
Or Lindsay. It's Lindsay's fouled him on the edge of the Sunderland penalty area. And a free kick to Sunderland. Preston 1, Sunderland 1. Equa here across to Sirkin on the far side. Down the touchline to Clark. And he's furious with himself for just miscontrolling it and conceding a throw. In the sunshine on the far side. BBC Radio Newcastle. 1-1 at Deepdale. Flag up on Will Keane. A foul on Luke O'Nien. It's going to be a yellow card for Keane, is it? Referee went to his pocket, but he's now not produced a card.
It's a foul.
He's gone to see what the situation is with Luke O'Nien on the floor, because this new directive, you've got to see how serious the injury is. If it's not serious, they've got to go off the pitch and be treated for at least 30 seconds before they can come back on. Luke O'Nien's lying on his back at the moment, and the referee is allowing the physio. Pete Brown is allowed on. So Luke will get some treatment here. Will Keane is spoken to by the referee, but there's been no card. So,
yeah, absolutely.
In the 34th minute, 1-1. A game that swung both ways in this opening half an hour or so. I think that was Cardiff 0, QPR 1. And there is now a yellow card for Keane. Took a while, but it's come.
Took a long time, didn't it?
It did. So, the free kick as O'Nien gets back up on his feet.
It's not.
Keane, who scored the opener. Apologies again that we weren't on air there, but someone had...
It's either yellow or red, surely you're not colourblind.
Fair means or foul taken our lead out. Brighton 1, Luton 0 in the Premier League. Clark trying to play it inside to Neal, one back by Ledson, lost again, and Job trying to get forwards. Up to Keane though as they win it back, Preston, and played back behind in Frockyar. Through again for Brown in the penalty area.
Great
tackle by Sirkin.
That's a great tackle.
Excellent tackle by Sirkin in the penalty area, and that sets up another Sunderland counter-attack. Job down the left wing with Clark, and Clark now trying to come inside. It's being forced back out by Story, but leaves it for Equa, and Equa turns and looks up from the left, foot on the ball, trying to twist away from Brown, but Brown got the ball off him but concedes a throw.
Great tackle that was from Sirkin.
Into the 36th minute, 1-1. Live on BBC Radio Newcastle. And we could reenact the Will Keane goal, I suppose. Here's Joe back behind him to O'Nien, swung across to Hume here on the right-hand side. Plays it back inside to Dan Ballard, through the middle to Dan Neal, and Neal across to Job on the left-hand side. Job taking it into the Preston half, forwards to Clark, back to goal, but he's cutting round now into the middle. Plays it through to Job. Good ball, and Job trying to work an opening, but he can't just thread it through to Neal. Played out to Will Keane, and Job, good tackle.
Great tackle.
In the centre on McCann, sets up Clark down this left-hand side. Clark, the overlap from Sirkin. Sirkin into the penalty area. Sirkin pulls it back. It's stabbed away by Lindsay, and out again to Potts. And back into Will Keane in the middle, inside the Preston half though. And now played back now on the left to Hughes, inside to Lindsay in the Preston half. Back out to Hughes on the left. Back again to Lindsay. And then to Story. As they play this out from the back, Preston up to halfway, Brown across on the right-hand side to Potts.
Exactly the same
Potts
as Broadhead
cutting
when he scored
inside
against
away from
Ipswich
Clark.
against Sunderland.
Back to Freddie Woodman, the goalkeeper.
Very similar.
Woodman's kick. Hull 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Ball goes out again, another throw to Preston. 39th minute we're in now.
Yep.
Creeping up to that as Dack tried to stretch for a ball, but it's one back. Ledson puts it out, but off of the foot of Job, I think it was. Another throw just down from the Sunderland bench.
You guys hear me
on the
all
far
right, yeah?
side.
Yeah, that's fine.
Will be taken by Potts eventually. He finds McCann. McCann playing it back on that right-hand side to Story and back to the goalkeeper, Freddie Woodman. Woodman then driving this ball down the right. Sirkin's got his eye on it. A little flick from Potts. It drops for Keane. Keane back then to Brown. Brown inside to Ledson. Ledson trying to get it down that right wing as it's brought forward to the corner of the penalty area by Story. Played inside to Brown and then back again to Hughes, forced out by Sunderland. Down the left wing to Best. Best trying to get round Roberts. It comes off Roberts' throw to Preston on the left-hand side, halfway inside the Preston half. Quickly taken by Best. Back to Hughes. Hughes hooks it back to Lindsay. Lindsay now to Hughes on this left-hand side. Forwards to Frockshire. Back to Lindsay, just left of the centre circle. Swung across to Potts on the right, heading it down for Ledson. A little back heel looking for Potts, but backing into him, trying to get away here is Sirkin. He thought it was fouled.
Well done, Sirkin. Great defending that. Great defending. That's all about using your body.
Trying
Good
to
strength.
Force himself forwards, but the Preston midfielder was just blocking him and forcing him almost to the floor. O'Nien now.
Thank you.
Drives this up on the right-hand side, looking for Roberts, headed away over him though. Out it will go for a throw to Sunderland deep in the Preston half. He grabs one of the balls off the cones, Roberts, to get on with it quickly. Neil back out to Roberts on this right-hand side, and Roberts flicks it back to Hume. And Hume just trying to find an opening here, plays it back to Ballard on the halfway line. Ballard pushing forwards, up towards Job, tackled from behind, pushed into the centre for Brown to break here on the left-hand side for Preston. He's got support behind him now with Hughes out wide, trying to get it through to Brown. Lovely flick it back out to Hughes, but Hume intercept.
How many minutes are you guys on?
Hume was tripped, and it's a free kick to Sunderland on the right. Job saying to Ekwa, was I pushing the back or something like that? O'Nien bringing this out. Sirkin sprinting away ahead of him down the left wing. Here's the pass for Sirkin, but Potts slides in. It's a throw to Sunderland. 5 minutes till half-time. 1-1. Back it comes to O'Nien. Wide on that left-hand side. Played it back to Dan Neil. Neil across to Hume. Hume out wide then to Roberts. Roberts trying to take on Best again.
Would you guys be happy with a point today?
Again? Best sticks with him. Roberts turns away from him and out. Oh, is he brought down? The referee says not. Roberts doesn't appeal. Gets quickly to his feet as Best drives it up towards Keane. It's headed away by Ballard to Ekwa in the centre circle. Laid off to Sirkin. And Sirkin now down the left wing to Clark. Clark is going to come past Potts and Story. Down the left of the penalty area. Still on the edge of the box. Sirkin's there as well, but he's played it inside to Ekwa. Ekwa is nearly tackled by McCann, but it rolls out to Neil. Neil down the left touchline to Clark. Clark coming at Potts, down to the goal line. Pulls it back. Roberts looking to bring it on his right. He's just knocked it away. Lost that moment, and he's still in possession, but he's played it back to Hume, who crosses, and it will go behind eventually for a goal kick to Preston North End.
Why didn't you have a swing?
I think he was trying to. I think it just went a bit too high for him, wasn't it, to swing it accurately. I suspect if he'd made contact in that sense, it would have gone over. Just a little bit behind him.
No faith.
Possibly. 1-1. Only a few minutes left until half-time. Interesting to see how much added time at the end of the first 45. Goal kick, all the players on the far side. Headed down by Sirkin, but it's won by Dan Neal. Plays it out to the wing. Clark couldn't keep it in. The referee's having a word with Ali McCann. McCann's making a point about why, or whatever it was, the referee's complaining about. It's a throw to Preston on the far side. 15-20 yards inside the Sunderland half on the right. 1-1. And Potts with it to McCann. Tried to get it down the right to Brown or Keane. Sirkin's got it. He's got Brown on his shoulder. Sirkin turns and sweeps it down the touchline. It's headed out. It's another throw.
For a throw-in for Preston.
Ball chucked down to Potts, pretty much halfway inside the Sunderland half on the right-hand side. The referee just ushering him back to the correct spot as he sees it. And Potts with the throw. Looking for Brown, comes back to Potts. Potts back into the middle of the centre circle to Hughes. And Hughes forwards here now to Frockyar, who rolls it out to Best on the left-hand side down the line. It's cut out there by Hume inside to Ekwa. Frockyar quickly onto his shoulder, back to Dan Ballard, who sidesteps Frockyar and chips it down towards Dack, who heads it into the Preston half, but nobody there. And it's played back to Freddie Woodman into the final minute of the first half. Down goes.
Many times you've got to be careful.
It's a throw, though.
Putting himself about.
Throw or free kick? Free kick. Sirkin fouled again.
He's getting ransacked, like, isn't he?
It'll be taken. Well, Alan Brown has just wandered up and kicked the ball away, and I thought that's interesting. The referee could have booked him in technically for that. Best heads the ball away. McCann flicks it on again, headed away by Ballard from Keane on his shoulder at the edge of the centre circle. Back it comes from Potts to the edge of the Preston penalty area and played back by Lindsay to Woodman. Dack gives chase, and Dack has to jog back now. He's up to the halfway line. It's Best on the left for Preston. Roberts goes to try and close him down. Will Keane trying to flick it through to Brown. 3 minutes of time now. Roberts here on the right-hand side. Roberts down the right of the penalty area, but swept behind by Hughes.
What was the time?
3 minutes. So it's another Sunderland corner, their sixth of the first half. On this right-hand side, Dack and Roberts.
We won the penalty from the last one. It was played short.
And they're going to play it short again. They are. Roberts here on the right, inside in the penalty area to Clark. Guess who's on his shoulder? Best. It's played out to Roberts. Roberts has got to come past McCann. Just taps it back to Clark on this right-hand side. Clark trying to go around McCann. Goes out wide, and a chase for McCann. He nearly took Clark out. He's onto the goal line. Pulls it back. Blocked by Keane. Another corner.
So they're being tested, aren't they, Preston? Sunderland are the far better team. Showing good character, getting back into the game after getting one goal down.
Yeah, we'll take this corner on the right. In swinging with his left foot. Dack, though, running across. It's played to Dack at the edge of the area. Plays it back to Roberts, who this time swings it towards the far post. O'Nien tries to head it down. The whistle goes. Penalised for leaning. And the home fans, the applause, the ironic applause for the referee. And a free kick to Preston North End. The screens now are meant to show the real time, but they're showing adverts instead. Above the Sunderland fans, but we're nearly up to 2 minutes of the minimum 3.
Oh, they are, absolutely.
As Ekwa leaps, gets his head on it, An overhead kick from Clark to try and get it into the Preston half. It's headed away and it will be cleared again by O'Nien. Headed clear again by Lindsay on the shoulder of Dak. Brown flicks it on and it's Sirkin to tidy up, plays it back to Patterson under pressure from Will Keane. He twists and gets the ball away. Brown putting it back down the right wing to Potts.
Is he playing?
Back to Brown on the far side. We're in the last minute of the first half of the minimum 3 minutes. Throw back to Story. Another throw to Preston as the ball was shuffled out. Left for Potts to take.
I think Preston will be happy with half-time.
Grew into the game, didn't they, Sunderland, after pressure early on from Preston. And Preston taking the lead against the run of play at that time in the 25th minute. As the ball swept forwards by Preston, it'll go out behind for, well, not even a goal kick, half-time. Two sides going in, level 1-1. And Sunderland will feel that's all they deserve, at the very least.
Yeah, you look at Preston, they've had one effort, which was a deflection. It's ended up in the back of the goal. You look at Sunderland, we've had 3 or 4 efforts on goal.
No idea.
I think we're back into the game.
Through with confidence and, you know, get the ball out to the like Roberts and Clark, because they are causing problems.
Keane's goal came in the 25th minute, a break through the middle. And his shot, like last week, it's taken a deflection, because Patterson was clearly wrong-footed again. So they took the lead, but then a great response from Sunderland. Jack Clark clearly had his shirt tugged from behind, and penalty was a consequence of that, and Jack Clark dispatched that into the bottom left-hand corner. It swung a bit then, end-to-end from both teams, but Roberts clearly is an outlet for Sunderland on his right-hand side.
Yeah, you look at that first 45 minutes and yeah, it's maybe end-to-end, but Sunderland are a far better team. You know, you look at Preston and I've got to say at times they run out of ideas, don't they?
So the second half to come on BBC Radio Newcastle and SAFC.com. At the break here at Deepdale, it's Preston North End 1, Sunderland 1.
Season wasn't as a season, now we've got the hope of it. Season, it's always that fun time of the year when everyone's dreaming, and it's an exciting year ahead for us.
Total Sport North East.
Newcastle's CEO Darren Eales.
Hi Simon.
What your targets would be for this season?
The idea is that we want to be just always improving, always getting better.
We were so close to getting the cup. Is that a priority for us this season?
I mean, we've got 4 competitions this year and we're going in to try and, you know, win them all.
Pre-season seems to have gone pretty well. I mean, you've even managed to take a couple of trophies to bed, I've noticed on your social media. Did you really sleep with the 2 trophies?
Not the whole night, no.
Listen now on the BBC Sounds app.
BBC Radio Newcastle. Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
And so it is Preston 1, Sunderland 1 at half-time. Will Keane scoring Preston's goal, Jack Clark from the penalty spot with Sunderland's equaliser. 1 apiece at the break. We'll be back with Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett for full commentary of the second half in just over 10 minutes' time. In the Premier League then, we'll go through the 3 o'clock kickoffs in just a moment. But in the early game, Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest by 2-1. Eddie Nketiah and Bukayo Saka in the first half for Arsenal. Taiwo Awoniyi got one back from Nottingham Forest with about 10 minutes to go, but Arsenal held on. A game that should have kicked off at 12:30 was delayed by half an hour because of digital ticketing issues. We are hoping to have nothing of that sort at St James's Park later on. In the 3 o'clock kickoffs then, Bournemouth against West Ham is goalless. Brighton are 1-0 up on Luton. Luton's first match in the Premier League. Solly March getting Brighton's goal 10 minutes before half-time. It's also goalless between Everton and Fulham and between Sheffield United and Crystal Palace. I've mentioned that Newcastle United play later on. They're at home to Aston Villa at 5:30. We'll come back to that one shortly.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
There was an early game in the Championship as well, which saw Coventry thump Middlesbrough by 3-0. Matt Gordon in the first half had you right, and then a very late own goal from Darragh Lenihan in the second half. So Coventry 3, Middlesbrough 0. In the 3 o'clock games then, goalless between Birmingham and Leeds United, but Queen's Park Rangers are 1-0 up at Cardiff. Sinclair Armstrong after 34 minutes. No goals between Huddersfield and Leicester. and Sheffield Wednesday. So Callum Patterson gave
I'm
Sheffield
sorry,
Wednesday the lead
trying to
10
sort
minutes before
my
half time, but an Ozan Tufan penalty in first half injury time was the equaliser for Hull. And done midway through that first half. Goalless between Millwall and Bristol City. Rotherham, though, are beating Blackburn by 1-0 Hakim Odofin after 23 minutes. 5 goals between Southampton and Norwich City. Norwich had the lead after 7 minutes, then 14 minutes later were 2-1 down. Jan Bednarek and Adam Armstrong with Southampton's 2 goals to give them a 2-1 lead. Gabriel Sara then equalised 2 minutes after Southampton had taken the lead to make it 2-2. Then there was a break of 22 minutes with no goals before John Rowe gave Norwich a 3-2 lead on the stroke of half-time. No goals at all between Watford and Plymouth Argyle, and Semi Ajayi has given West Brom a 1-0 half-time lead over Swansea.
Total Sport North East.
The Newcastle and Sunderland AFC podcast.
On BBC Sounds.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Into non-league then, not going well for Gateshead, who are losing at Victoria Park. Hartlepool lead 1-0. Manny Dizarue after just 9 minutes for Hartlepool. In National League North, very mixed fortunes. South Shields are 3-0 down at Boston United at half-time. But Blythe Spartans are 2-0 up at Warrington Town, and that is despite having Jack Bodenham sent off after 34 minutes. It was the 2 JJs who scored Blythe's goals, so JJ O'Donnell before that red card, JJ Hooper after it as well, and to compound a miserable first half for Warrington, they hit the bar with a penalty in first half injury time as well. So Blythe Spartans riding their luck, but 2-0 up away at Warrington. In the Northern Premier League Premier Division, Morpeth Town are drawing 2-2 at Basford United. They went behind twice and equalised twice. Andrew Johnson the first time, Chris Reed the second time.
Yeah,
but
sorry,
our
I'm
featured
just trying
non-league
to
match
sort
today is in
me
the
sound
East
issues
Division of the Northern Premier League. Dunstan at home to Bridlington Town, and our non-league reporter Paul Dixon can tell us all how the first half has gone.
Well, it's went very well for Dunstan, but it's one that they should have took their chances. It's half-time, it's Dunstan 1, Bridlington 1. Dunstan deservedly went ahead on 10 minutes. A superb cross by ex-Gateshead player Craig Baxter, where he found Jack Maskell at the back post and he headed high into the roof of the net to give Dunstan a deserved
usually
lead.
doesn't pick up the
And then on
microphone
25
from my
minutes,
laptop,
they
it just
should have
picks
went
my
further
microphone
ahead.
off the
Captain
headphones
Michael
only,
Pearson
but for
in
some
on
strange
goal,
reason it's picking it up from
volleyed
the
wide of the
desktop as
target. A brilliant ball by Luke Carr, and he should have really scored to make it 2, but it wasn't to be. But then on 35 minutes, the experienced player Phil Turnbull lost the ball 25 yards out, and there was Andy Norfolk to drill the ball low into the corner. It was nearly Bridlington's more or less best chance, or first chance that they had. Just before half time, Dunstan should have went ahead. Pearson and Maskell, real good chances, but wasted them both. If you don't take your chances, you can't win the games. At the break, Dunstan 1, Bridlington 1.
Paul, thank you very much indeed. Also in that East Division this afternoon, it's the first matches of the season for these teams. Ashington 1, Brighouse Town 2 at half-time. Craig Spooner with Ashington's equaliser midway through that first half. Hebburn are 4-0 up away at Grantham Town. 2 in there for Amar Purawal. That came after Robbie Spence scored the opener. Aidan Haywood with Heburn's third, so they are 4-0 up away at half-time. And Consett are drawing 1-1 away at Winterton Rangers at the break as well. Matty Slocum after just 3 minutes in that one. Berwick Rangers leading away from home as well in the Scottish Lowland League. 1-0 up at East Stirlingshire. A Liam Buchanan penalty after 18 minutes, the difference between the two sides. Newcastle United, as we mentioned, playing at 5:30 this evening, so we will do our non-league roundup at half-time in that match.
Meet Jill from Northumberland.
I collapsed in the corridor and I was found by a midwife. The only thing that I could say to him was, I can't do this anymore.
Jill is about to become the first person in the world to swim the English Channel with a stoma.
A girl said to me, oh, you know, Jill, have you ever thought about swimming the Channel? And I said, no. And then my next thought was, but what a fantastic way to raise awareness of women injured in childbirth, and also that you can do anything with a stoma.
I'm Anna Foster, and all next week you'll hear Jill's amazing story.
Anna Foster.
Weekdays from 10.
BBC Radio Newcastle, making a difference in the North East.
Half-time at Deepdale is Preston 1, Sunderland 1 at Jack.
A girl said to me, oh, you know, Jill, have you ever thought about swimming the Channel?
Yeah, it's no problem, hold on.
And then my next thought was, but what a fantastic way to raise awareness of women injured in childbirth, and also that you can do anything with a stoma.
I'm Anna Foster, and all next week you'll hear Jill's amazing...
Well, I said 1-1. I said 1-1. As long as it didn't lose. I mean, there's still 3 weeks. There's still 3 weeks of the transfer window open, so
time at Deepdale is Preston 1.
We just want to steady the ship a little bit, stop the defeats. Yeah, it's a carbon copy. Yeah, it was a carbon copy, Mason. Absolute carbon copy. Very strange. We just want to steady the ship a little bit, stop the defeats. Yeah, it's a carbon copy. Yeah, it was a carbon copy, Mason. Absolute carbon copy. Very strange. Yeah, they're on a high, aren't they? Yeah, they're on a high, aren't they? How the hell? Oh, absolutely. Sorry, I'm still just trying to work out how I can just get my microphone to pick up the sound only, not my bloody microphone on my laptop off. Yeah. It's just doing me head in. Sorry, I'm still just trying to work out how I can just get my microphone to pick up the sound only, not my bloody.
Skill on the ball. They pushed us right to the end. I think literally the difference was Alessia Russo in front of goal, so clinical with that shot. But throughout the game, there was times where we had to dig deep and fight in the game, and there was times where we got to play our game. But fortunately for us, we're through to the semi-final.
Indeed, it is all that matters in tournament football. England will face Australia on Wednesday morning. The co-hosts beat France in an extraordinary penalty shootout. 20 penalties it took to separate the two sides. And England-Australia will be at 11 o'clock on Wednesday morning. Sweden against Spain is the other semi-final. That's 11 o'clock on Tuesday morning. One more football story. England striker Harry Kane has completed his move from Spurs to Bayern Munich. He's expected to make his debut tonight for Bayern Munich in their German Super Cup match against RB Leipzig. And a couple more things from this afternoon. In Rugby League, St Helens beat the Leeds Rhinos by 22 points to 8 to win the Women's Challenge Cup final at Wembley. It was the first Women's Challenge Cup final to take place at the National Stadium, and the men's final kicked off at 3 o'clock. The second half is about to get underway. That one between Hull KR and Lee Leopards, and it is Lee who lead by 10 points to 8 at half-time. They are in their first Challenge Cup final since 1971, and that said, Hull KR haven't won one since 1980, so there's going to be celebrations somewhere this evening, perhaps for Sunderland fans at Deepdale, we hope. Sunderland drawing 1-1 at Preston at half-time in the Championship this afternoon. Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett back with second-half commentary in just a moment.
Half-time highlights.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Penalty kick. The bid to pull the game level. Clark then just stands over the ball at the moment. Freddie Woodman being told by the referee to step back, trying to make himself big on the goal line. Jack Clark stepping back now towards the 18-yard line. Clark against Woodman, who's bounced from one side to the other, then up and down. Clark! Oh, yes. Into the bottom corner!
Well done, get it.
It was almost saved by Woodman. He went the right way, but Clark scored. Clark levels in the 31st minute.
Total Sport North East.
Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett, MBE.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
And the players emerge from the tunnel over in the far corner for the second half. Sunderland will be defending the Alan Kelly stand away to our right. They're in their away strip, their new shirts, the lilac, purple, blue combination, and Preston to our left in their white and blue. No changes, it appears, at half-time. Patterson in goal, he's in yellow. Hume, Ballard, O'Nien and Sirkin. Neil, Equa, Roberts, Joe, Clark and Dack up front. And the bench is Bishop, Huggins, Bart, Emir, Barr, Bennett, Pritchard, Triantis and Rigg. The Preston team who'll get the second half underway with Frockyar on the ball in the centre. Woodman, Story, Lindsay and Hughes, Potts, Brown, McCann, Ledson and Best, Frockyar and Keane. As the game resumes, and the ball on the head of Sirkin, trying to head it away down this left wing, comes back and cleared again, back up into the Preston half on the right-hand side, into the middle to Hughes, the Welsh centre-back on the halfway line, swinging it diagonally across, looking for Brad Potts at the edge of the penalty area. Sirkin went up with him, the ball out to the touchline, and Potts lets it run out, holding off Equa for a throw to the home team.
Yeah, you know, Tony Mowbray will mostly tell the players that you expect Preston to have a little bit more of the ball or have a little bit more of a go at Sunderland. Because you've got to say that it was Sunderland basically dominated the first half.
No, they could have, yeah, if they could have just got a second. They had a couple of blocks, didn't they? Now Preston have won a corner. On this right-hand side, shadows cast by the roof of the Alan Kelly stand. Much changed Deepdale. I remember back in the day, the plastic pitch, the old stand on the far side, been redeveloped over the years. Fancy down floodlights.
Yeah, he puts good balls in. Best.
Yeah, Kean Best then from the right. Bournemouth 0, West Ham 1 in the Premier League. Into the near post, and it's eventually hooked away by Joe. Back in from Frockyar, cleared by Equa. Rotherham 2, Blackburn 0. Start of the second half. And Sheffield United 0, Crystal Palace 1 in the Premier League. 1-1 here at Deepdale. Throw on the far side to Preston, just down from their manager Ryan Lowe, the 44-year-old, appointed in December 2021, took them to 12th last season. As Ledson tries to drive it forwards down the right, it's cleared by Hume, up to Dack, looking for Jobe, now looking for Clark on this left-hand side. Clark down the left of the corner of the penalty area, still going, tries to cross, blocked by Box, who's got the ball. Clark appealing for a penalty. Play goes on, the referee unmoved, and it's spread down the right wing to be intercepted by Luke O'Nien A lunge from McCann, inside to Jobe, Brown on his shoulder. Jobe just lays it off to O'Nien on the touchline, flicked it inside, but past Jack Clark. And Preston looked to counter-attack, but O'Nien's burst in past Brown and got the ball back again to Clark. And Clark now across on the other side to Hume. Hume, ahead of him is Roberts. Roberts on the right. Hume takes the ball down the right and plays it inside in the middle for Dan Neil to chase. He finds Ekwa. Ekwa shoots and just past the post.
It's worth an effort.
Woodman was at quite full stretch, just past the right-hand post from Ekwa, who saw a first-half effort tipped over. And it's still 1-1, and it's a goal kick at the Bill Shankly end at the bottom of that bank of Sunderland fans in mostly red and white striped shirts. Woodman then in light blue with his right foot drives this fairly centrally straight up to Dan Ballard, up to Dak on halfway Jobe, and out to Clark on this left hand side. Jack Clark, great ball over to Roberts on the far side on the wing, down towards the corner, controls it, going to come past Hughes. Hughes tackles him, and Hughes taking this away down the left wing. Roberts giving chase. Hume cuts across, cuts it out. Throw to Preston in front of the dugouts, which are on the far side. The dressing room's in that far side stand, and the throw will be taken by the young wing-back Kean Best. 4.5 minutes into the second half. West Brom 2, Swansea 0. Reminder here, it's 1-1. We're live on BBC Radio Newcastle. Following us, it's Newcastle United against Aston Villa. As the ball driven back to Patterson by Ballard, but Patterson keeps his cool and kicks this up towards the halfway line. There was some shirt tugging going on there by Clark on Story, but it's gone for a throw, which Sirkin takes quickly. Lindsay cuts across the front of Clark to head it out for a throw to Sunderland, which Sirkin will take 2/3 of the way inside the Preston half. Back down to Luke O'Nien. O'Nien back into his own half to Ballard in the centre circle. Out on the far side to Hume. Down the line to Roberts, so he gets shoved in the back, goes down, but no foul. A throw to Sunderland on the far side. Roberts to Hume, back to Roberts, back again to Ballard in his own half, and back to Patterson out in midfield. And he passed it. Who was he thinking of finding? It's gone between O'Nien and Sirkin. Sirkin had to run back for it, and eventually out for a throw to Sunderland on the left-hand side. And O'Nien having a word, the assistant's having a word with him. He just drops the ball down for Sirkin to take the throw for Sunderland. 6 minutes played of the second half. Sirkin on the left here, and down towards Dak, but behind him was Lindsay. Lengthened, didn't even have to leap off the floor, nods the ball out. Sirkin with the throw on halfway on the left. Ekwa back to O'Nien. O'Nien back to Patterson at the edge of his penalty area, passing it out to Hume on the far side. Hume closed down by Best, but down the touchline to Roberts. Roberts looking to get it forwards again to the overlapping Hume, and Hume's being overlapped by Dan Neil. Hume still going, checks, and he's run into Best.
Got to play it.
Best gets the ball away to Frockyar on the touchline. Hume has to get back. It's played inside to McCann, onto the halfway line, being pushed wide by Jobe. Forwards to Frockyar again, but there is Ballard to clear. Another throw for Preston North End inside their own half, inside the Sunderland half in the sunshine. As that bursts through again this afternoon. Long throw down the line. Ballard hooks it in the air, hangs there for a moment, bounces above Dan Neil, gets a foot to it. Hume plays it high and out to the back row of the Sunderland dugout. Preston 1, Sunderland 1. Dan Neil heads the ball away, flag up. Foul throw, was that? It's a Sunderland throw now on the far side. Patterson comes out to gather the ball and kick it back out over to Hume. This is dropped behind the advertising board. It'll be recovered there, and Hume has it now to take this throw. Nearly 8 minutes played of the second half. Joe backing into Ledson. Breaks for Dack. Tried to get it to Roberts. Tried to get it out to Dack, but went out off a Preston player for another Sunderland throw on the far side. A little bit ragged, a little bit scrappy at the moment. Start of this second half. Hume on halfway with a throw to Neil. Back to Hume. Clipped, was he? No, the referee says not. And does he now bring it back for a free kick? Hartlepool down to 10 men in their game against Gateshead. Here's Clark on the left-hand side. Clark, he's got Brown just in front of him. Clark wide on the left. He's got O'Nien on the touchline. Clark back to Ekwa, flicks it through to Neil, looking for Dack. Dack now in the middle is tackled, but the ball breaks possibly for Neil here. Alan Brown effectively played into his path, but Brown wins it back from Ekwa. Brown now looking for Frockyar on the break. He's got to come past Ballard. He rolls it into Brown in the penalty area, trying to take it and play it inside to Frockyar, but cleared out to Potts. Now Frockyar tackled by Dack. Job gets a foot to it, but running onto it is Story. Story's crossed to the far post, and that'll bounce away on the far side, and Best keeps it in the corner, and on the goal line it rolls out for a corner.
Yeah, we've got to keep doing the things that we've been doing well. You know, Ekwa, he's just took his eye off the ball a little bit.
And Preston will be saying, why didn't Brown shoot first time? That was the opportunity, but he decided to take it on his left then. Yeah. But he had a clear sight of goal from the right.
Should have shot.
1-1 then still. Preston corner on the left-hand side at the Alan Kelly end, the south stand. 9 minutes into the second half. The big men line up again for Preston.
Strong here. You've got to be strong.
They've got 4 in the 6-yard box as well. So from the left-hand side, this Preston corner swung in towards the far post, punched out firmly by Patterson. McCann shot back in, hits Brad Potts, takes a second stab at it, and is put behind by Sirkin.
Excellent defending. Good punch again by Patterson. That's what he's done well this afternoon.
But it's another corner, again from the left-hand side. Frockyar's gone across there as well this time. Roberts goes across. Ball replaced, and I think it's Brown who's taking the corners. Everyone in the 6-yard box virtually crowding that area for this 5th Preston corner. In comes Brown, right-footed, hangs in the air
Let
here,
it go.
And it's headed away by Dan Neil out to the edge of the box. McCann heads it back in. Keane stretching for it, Lindsay stretching for it, got a touch to it, but cleared by Sunderland, and Neil's on a break here. Chasing back is Best, he gets the ball off Neil. And out to McCann, who crashes it off the back of Job. He doesn't know where it's gone. It's actually gone into the stand below us here for a throw to Preston, which Potts with his hair in a ponytail will take. And the former Carlisle United defender, winger, who we first saw in the Championship.
It's going to be interesting how long that can last for.
Yes, yeah, I mean, you'd think about an hour, wouldn't you? We're about 4 or 5 minutes away from that. As Brown and Job go for it, drops for Ekwa. Over Dack's head, back to Lindsay. Lindsay hooks it back through the middle. Ballard's got his eye on it, heads it away from Keane. But straight to Best on the left, onto his left foot now. He shoots over the bar. He's lively.
Yeah, he just wanted to get it on his left, didn't he?
Yeah. So O'Nien has the ball at his feet on the 6-yard line for the goal kick. Ballard over on that right-hand side. The referee's urging O'Nien to get on with it. Again, he's waved his hand for O'Nien to kick, and he does long up into the centre circle. Up goes Ekwa and Keane. It drops for Ballard, plays it through to Neil through the middle. Roberts calling for it on the right wing. He gets it. Neil sprinting forwards. Roberts cutting inside, but the ball whipped off his feet by McCann. Out to Hughes, and Roberts trying to win it back here. Rolls out. Throw to Sunderland.
Well done, Patrick Roberts. Good work.
Quickly taken throw from Roberts to Jobe, who's trying to chest it back to Ekwa. Ekwa rolls off him back to O'Nien. O'Nien through into the Preston half, pushing it down to Jack Clark on his left-hand side. Sirkin forwards with him. Clark trying to get into the penalty area now. Rolling it back, called past O'Nien, right back into Hume, who squares it to Ekwa. Ekwa bringing it forwards, chipping it into the penalty area. Headed out by Lindsay, comes out to Potts on the right, flicks it away from Clark, and brings it now onto the knee of Ekwa. He finds Sirkin, back down to Ekwa, down the touchline to Clark. Clark now back to Ekwa, and Ekwa just bringing it back towards halfway and slipping it inside to Dan Neil, and Neil then to Hume. Hume, Roberts on the right-hand side, Southampton 3, Norwich 3. Neil inside, just to the right and forwards of the centre circle, squares it in the middle to Ekwa, pokes it through to Jobe, and he's played a poor ball back here, and Brown's onto it straight away for Preston, looking to play it through to Keane, breaks here for Frockyard, who scores for Preston in the 59th minute. Preston retake the lead. Mads Frockyard, after the mistake made by Sunderland in the Preston half.
Yeah, and you've got to say, again, it's against the run of play. You know, we haven't cleared the ball properly. It's gone back into the feet, and it's a good finish.
Well, the Dane wasn't going to make a mistake, and Brown, his experience, he capitalised on the poor ball played by Joe back.
Yeah.
And Sunderland caught as the ball was threaded through.
All over again.
And they've got to show character to come from behind again.
Yeah. You just thought that was getting a little bit lackadaisical, didn't you? A couple of passes went astray, but we've been caught out on a counter-attack.
So, on the hour mark now, will Sunderland be thinking about changes? Preston with a lead to defend.
Who would have bring on Pritchard?
Equaliser with half an hour to play. They've got that 6,000 strong Sunderland support behind the goal to suck it in if they can find the opening. Sirkin out to Clark on the left-hand side. Potts on his shoulder. Clark just back to Neil. Neil to Ekwa. Ekwa down the left to Sirkin again. Sirkin flicks it inside to Jobe. He stretches to get it back to Ekwa. Then inside to O'Nien. On the halfway line, Ballard out wide to Roberts. Inside to Neil in the centre circle, back to O'Nien. Wide left to Sirkin. Sirkin back again to Clark. Clark into the sunshine from the shadow cast on the pitch from the roof of this Tom Finney stand. Hull 2, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Roberts to Hume wide on the right. Tony Mowbray clapping, urging his players on. Ballard back to Patterson. Out in midfield. Out wide to Hume. Back inside to Ballard. And then across here to O'Nien. Memir's warming up. I think Barr's warming up as well. Pritchard on the far side. Here's Ekwa on the halfway line down the left, looking for Clark's run. On the shoulder of Story. Story hooks it out, throw to Sunderland. Clark quickly grabs the ball off the cone, the multi-ball system, and now Sirkin from Jobe. Sirkin onto the goal line, but it runs behind. Just ran off his foot, and it's a goal kick to Preston North End, who in the 63rd minute lead 2-1.
And then you look at How many shots has Preston had on target?
Not many, is it?
No. But they're winning.
Well, they've had two similar breaks, and scored 2 goals, Preston. West Brom 3, Swansea 0. Here's Keane. He's looking for a throw. Gets it. The assistant looked at the referee for confirmation that it was a Preston throw. Brad Potts out here to take it. Finds McCann. But in comes Sirkin, gets in front of Brown to smash the ball effectively. Right back up to Woodman at the edge of his penalty area on the right. Plays it, kicks it out over Dack's head. Out for a throw to Sunderland this time.
Pritchard's going to come on, isn't he? He won't really come on for Dack, and Hemir will come on. Try to get back in this game.
Yeah. Potts stabs the ball out again inside the Sunderland half on this left-hand side. Sirkin will take the throw again. Ekwa trying to work some space. Brown going with him. Job jogs back. Sirkin looking for Ekwa now. Ekwa, Brown on his shoulder. He stabs it back to O'Nien. O'Nien trying to go round. Brown takes the ball out.
Starting to make mistakes, Nick.
This is a message for Daniel Heron in the away end of the ground. Daniel Heron, please contact the nearest steward immediately. Thank you.
Here's Potts trying to get down the line. It has gone out now. It's a Sunderland throw. It's 19 minutes of the second half played. Pritchard, and I think Barr is going to come on as well.
Don't make any mistakes.
And down in the corner, it's a goal kick. Looking across to the far side as Sunderland prepare these substitutions. And it's Hemir, isn't it? It's Hemir and Pritchard.
I think they'll come on for Dack and maybe Joby.
Job's mistake that led to the goal. He's looking a bit leggy in the second half. But the ball back with Patterson.
Still a young lad.
Yeah. Neil on to Dack. Back to Neil. And goes McCann, but it's just brushed aside by Dan Neil. Dack's gone with him. Dan Neil's going to shoot.
Bad decision.
That's gone over.
Bad decision.
It was a heavy shot from Dan Neil.
You've got to say that decision was poor.
And the substitutions, I think, have been made now.
Yeah. You've got Dack, you've got Roberts, you've got Clark.
All on his shoulder, weren't they? So Dack's coming off for Pritchard. Job's gone off as well.
Also coming on number 7, Joe Bellingham.
And Mears coming on.
Alex Pritchard.
Hartlepool 1, Gateshead 1. So as you correctly surmised, Benno, the changes: Pritchard and Job for Dack. Pritchard and Hemir for Job and Dack. And the goal kick from Woodman floats down and Sirkin heads it back now. O'Nien managed to play it through to Neil. Brighton 2, Luton 0. Here's Brown trying to find the gap for Keane, but cut out by O'Nien. Ekwa quickly to Pritchard. He played it behind Sirkin, who chases to the touchline, keeps it in, and flicks it on past Potts, but out.
We're making mistakes, Nick. Our decision making is poor.
We're halfway through the second half. Preston lead 2-1. We're live on BBC Radio Newcastle. Reflections on this game on Monday night on Total Sport. Reaction over the weekend on the BBC Sounds and BBC Radio Newcastle. And on social media, the ball comes out for a Sunderland throw on this left-hand side. Total Sport back on Monday at 6 o'clock. Sirkin with this throw on the left-hand side. Down the line it goes. Hemir beaten to it by Jordan Story. A strong header out for another throw from Sirkin inside to Neil. Back out to Sirkin. Back to O'Nien. Plays it through the penalty area. Ballard chases across and plays it on to Hume on the far side. Hume. Back to Dan Ballard. Across to O'Nien. And out to Sirkin on this left-hand side. Inside to Dan Neil, back out to Sirkin. Sirkin, closed down by Brown again, gets it to Pritchard, out to Clark. So he's having to battle with Potts for this and wins a throw. Although the assistant took him a few seconds to award it. Clark back to Sirkin,
Keep
inside
doing the right
to
things.
Ekwa, out to Sirkin again and back to O'Nien. He plays it across to, well, Frockyar gets in front of Ballard and gets the ball. It's got Best on the overlap. Frockyar, scorer of Preston's second, still going through the middle. He's managed to turn it away from Hamir. Flags come up on Will Keane, the edge of the penalty area, and Sunderland had to be thankful for that.
Well, we're causing ourselves our own problems, Nick. As simple as that.
Out comes Ballard.
You know, wrong decision
Runs
again.
into McCann. Foul then on Ledson. It's going to be a yellow card for Ballard.
Wrong decisions we're making.
And while we wait for this free kick, team news from St James's Park from Matthew Raisbeck.
Eddie Howe had a big decision to make over who plays in midfield, and the spot has gone to new signing Sandro Tonali. It's Pope, Trippier, Cher, Botman, Byrne, Tonali, Bruno, Joelinton, Almiron, Isak and Gordon, with Livramento and Barnes, the other new arrivals, on the bench.
Thanks, Razor. Full commentary from 5:30 on BBC Radio Newcastle. And this free kick then will be taken by Best, and he plays it to the right up towards Hughes, who heads it down. O'Nien hooks it down for Pritchard to hook out. Ledson gets his head under it, headed on again by McCann, looking for Story, but O'Nien down to Hughes, whose volley just wide. Not a bad effort from the Welsh centre-half.
Yeah. We've just got to find a way to get back into this game.
Yeah, 2-1 Preston still lead. They've got 20 minutes, Sunderland. Well,
they've got
20 minutes
to hold
plus.
on to, haven't they?
We don't know how much time will be added on. As you say, they've got something to hold on to, and they're looking, I think, at maybe making a change on the far side. But throw to Sunderland. Hume to Ekwa, back to Patterson in the penalty area. He's under pressure from Brown, who stabbed at it, but somehow Sunderland got it out. Neil out wide here to Sirkin. Sirkin, Potts on his shoulder, plays it back. Patterson just outside the penalty area. And now to Neil again on this left-hand side, and forwards to Sirkin, to Clark, back to Neil. Sirkin's pushed further forwards here. Pritchard on the left on halfway. Sirkin's up with Hamir at the moment. Neil's trying to drive it through for her. Neil's trying to drive it through for Hamir, but it's hooked away by Lindsay. It's out for a throw to Sunderland on this left-hand side, inside their own half. Left for Sirkin to take. Referees
we're just getting
pointing
frustrated,
further
Nick.
back.
We're getting frustrated.
But what is critical is the next goal goes to Sunderland. Here's Ekwa. It's
we've
won
lost
back
it again
by Frockyar. Now with Potts. Potts just sails through past Dan Neil. Potts looking for support. He turns and plays it back now to Hughes. Hughes down the left. He's got Best further forwards on that left-hand side, and he takes it on himself up to Potts on the left. Potts coming back into left midfield and plays it back behind him, and then McCann plays it into the centre circle. Lindsay lays it off to Story on the right here, and down the right wing for Brown, who's driven it back to the goalkeeper, Woodman. Woodman just outside his penalty area. Well, Preston can afford to do that. They're 2-1 up.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring the young lad on, Chris Rigg, just to give us a little bit more energy. You know.
Yeah, here's Neil.
For Ekwa. He looks tired.
Yeah, Neil pushing it on to Roberts, back into Neil in the centre circle. Across here on the left-hand side to Sirkin, Clark wide, and he plays it back into Dan Neil, just left of the centre circle, out to Ekwa on the right of the centre circle, and then into Pritchard in the middle, back to Ekwa. Ekwa through to Hume, who plays it back to Pritchard, and he's given away. Straight to Potts, and Potts trying to get Keane away. O'Nien's aware of his presence, chasing across to the touchline, keeps it in, plays it back to Patterson. Patterson to Ballard. 2-1 still to Preston North End, live on BBC Radio Newcastle, out in the Sunshine on the far wing. Roberts, lovely little turn to get away from Best. He's away here. He's going into the penalty area, still going. He's up to the goal line, pulls it back, and there's nobody there. Potts puts it back over the bar for a corner. Wonderful run from Roberts.
Great turn by Roberts.
Beautiful pullback, but the player in front of the open goal was Potts. So a corner from the right-hand side. Pritchard will take this. Roberts strolls back into the penalty area. Ekwah and Potts, a bit of pushing and shoving. There's a bit of a bundle in the middle. The ball floats in. Hume's got his eye on it. Tries to volley it towards the goal. Hooked away, though, by Lindsay. He'll be out for a throw here to Sunderland. And Nyan catches the ball quickly and throws it back to Patterson. Barr's going to come on next for Sunderland. He's just stripped off on the far side. And Ekwah here, rolling it to Dan Neil. Neil forwards to Roberts, back to Dan Neil. Inside in the centre circle to Ekwah. Forwards to Hamir, looks for Pritchard. Pritchard holds off McCann, gets it out to Roberts on the far side. It's got to come past Best again, but rolls it back to Dan Neil, pushing it on to Pritchard in the middle. And Pritchard squares it to Hume. Hume to Clark. Clark now in the penalty area on the left, dribbling, crosses it!
Oh, what a save!
What a save! I thought Roberts had scored, but somehow Woodman makes a miraculous save on the line. I don't think he knew much about it.
I don't think he knew much about it.
But he saved it nonetheless.
Great play. But again, you're most probably looking at it, should have scored.
I'm sure Roberts thought he had.
Goalkeeper.
I did.
Straight at the goalkeeper.
Huddersfield 0, Leicester 1. So a corner from the left from Pritchard. There's a Preston player down on his haunches at the moment getting treatment. Everton 0, Fulham 1. Referee just saying get on with the substitution. Then Ekwah is the player coming off. And with 15 minutes to go, Barr is the player coming on.
And coming on number 17, Abdul Barr.
West Bromwich Albion 3, Swansea 1. Swansea pulling a goal back. And Hull 3, Sheffield Wednesday 1. We've got then 15 minutes of the 90 to play here. Preston player McCann leaving the pitch behind the goal. Pritchard will take this corner from the left-hand side. So the American Dwayne Holmes replaces McCann. As you heard then on the PA, a home debut for Holmes, signed from Huddersfield, the American international in the summer. Roberts from Pritchard's corner.
Great ball.
Driven in past the post by the head of O'Nien. Nearly the equaliser. Strong header, but a couple of inches too wide.
Unlucky.
And they're going to make another change. Preston knocking on the door then for a couple of minutes. Rotherham 2, Blackburn 1. And Cardiff 1, Queen's Park Rangers 2. Brighton 2, Luton 1. Latest scores in the games playing this afternoon as Potts tries to get forwards here. Holmes down the right side, trying to cross into the hands of Patterson at the near post. Out quickly, rolling it out here to Barr on the far side. Barr up to the halfway line. Hamir and Pritchard forwards. Clark on the left. Barr still going, trying to get through past Hughes. He shoots straight at the goalkeeper.
When you've got to be calm, haven't you? You've got to be calm.
So still 2-1 to Preston with 13 minutes or so left. And whoever's coming on for Preston on the far side's a big one. And the kick from Woodman from just outside his penalty area, down the right, headed away by Sirkin. Up goes Brown, up goes Neil to head it forwards, lands with Hamir, back to Pritchard, what a ball! Barr, loose, he's on his own, he's going to come to the edge of the area, and Hughes goes on to take the ball off Barr, who goes down.
You've got to be nice and calm.
Wonderful ball through. Barr just didn't have the legs, did he? Bournemouth 1, West Ham 1. Lovely ball through. And Rotherham 2, Blackburn 2. 2-1 to Preston North End. Live on BBC Radio Newcastle. Throw here to Sunderland. We'll have to take it again in a moment because the referee's allowing Preston to make the change.
Best is going off.
Best goes off, then the youngster. 17 years old. And it's the defender, Jack Watmoe, signed from Wigan, the former Portsmouth player, who comes on. So Preston aware of what may be coming their way for the final 10 minutes or so. Oxford 1, Carlisle 0. We're in the 79th minute. West Brom 3, Swansea 2. West Brom 3, Swansea 2. Here's Pritchard. Is fouled by Alan Brown, who's tangled up with Pritchard. Walks away with his hands in the air, Alan Brown. And the free kick will be taken by Neil, back to O'Nien, and across in the middle to Patterson. This inside the Sunderland half. He drives it up looking for the run of Pritchard, headed away though by Story, then given straight to Sirkin, who stumbles into the penalty area, tries to square it and wins a corner off
Well
Watmore.
done, Dennis Sirkin, excellent run.
Clocking up corners, that's Sunderland's 10th in the game. Pritchard down on this left-hand side to take it. Roberts back on this left side as well. O'Nien up on the edge of the 6-yard box. Pritchard then from the left drives this in, headed across to the back of the 6-yard box and then out to the right of the penalty area, and the referee's blown.
Give a free kick.
It's a Preston player down, and the referee's given what can only have been the benefit of the doubt in that to Preston.
Just to remind him it's time wasting.
10 minutes left of the 90, and Woodman strolls out, places the ball. Brighton 3, Luton 1. So all the players drifting towards this near side for the kick. Floats up towards Keane. A push in the back from O'Nien and headed back to Patterson. Ipswich 2, Stoke City 0. Ipswich's good start to the season continues. There's Ballard across to O'Nien. O'Nien now out wide, or he's thought about it, but then pushes it straight to Dwayne Holmes. Holmes into Keane, who pushes it into the penalty area, but a little bit too much. Patterson picks it up, and Ballard and Keane have words. And Pritchard is out with it on the far side now, back inside to Hume. Roberts in the middle, closed down by Watmoe, and out to Sirkin and wide to Clark. Clark now trying to take on Potts on the edge of the penalty area. Out to Pritchard in the middle, and Pritchard flicking it through to Roberts, back to Pritchard, and then to Clark just behind him. Clark taking on Potts, and he's got the better of him at the moment, plays it back to Pritchard. Pritchard curls the ball in, headed out comfortably by Story to Luke O'Nien, who taps it to Neil in the middle, and then to Roberts. Behind him is O'Nien. O'Nien out wide here on the left to Clark. Clark back inside to Roberts, flicking it through to Pritchard. Little flick, trying to get it into Sirkin, but it's hooked away by Potts. Headed back by Hume to Hamir. Too many white shirts around him, and then Roberts whips it up from the edge of the penalty area to Barr, who tried to get it back in, but just hooked away by Ledson. as Barr tried to turn it back into the penalty area from the goal line. But they come again. Roberts gets a push in the back in the box, tried to play it back inside for Hermir, but Watmo managed to get the ball away. It's out for a throw to Sunderland again on the far side. 8 minutes of the 90 remain. Hume with the ball. Preston leading 2-1. Dan Neil on the right, out wide to Hume. He's got Barr just down from the cross, looking for Sirkin, who goes down, stays down. The referee's unmoved, and the ball comes out for a throw. Sirkin holds the back of his head, gets back up on his feet, and Pritchard here on the left plays it back to O'Nien. O'Nien to Neil to Clark. Trying to get it out to Pritchard, one back by the interception of Potts. Potts now trying to get past Neil, and the referee says it was foul. Neil has words with the referee. It's a free kick to Preston on this right-hand side, inside their own half. The scouts round and about us have seen enough. They're starting to leave. Out comes Woodman to take this free kick. Took the ball back a couple of yards. Right side of midfield, halfway inside the Preston half. Preston leading 2-1. Woodman's kick. Neil's underneath it, heads it down to Pritchard. Out to Clark on the left, looking for Hermir.
Well
He's being held, he's being tugged back by Watmo, but the referee's let it go. And the ball finally played through the gap by Preston into the Sunderland penalty area, but gathered by Patterson. But there was a lot of shirt tugging going on there. Here's Sirkin bringing this up towards halfway, then playing it back to O'Nien. O'Nien across now to Ballard. Barr's out wide on halfway, cuts inside, done well, taking this on, leaving it for Roberts on the right wing. Roberts now, head down, getting towards the corner of the penalty area, leaves it for Barr, flags up. More frustration for Sunderland, free kick to Preston, who are making another change here. 6 minutes or so of the 90 left. If you're just joining us, Preston leading 2-1. Maz Frokyar's goal in the 59th minute. The difference between the two sides at the moment. And this change is Frokyar going off, I think. And Ben Woodburn is a midfielder coming on. Ben Woodburn, the former Liverpool player who for some time was being linked, wasn't he, with Sunderland, but
Ben Woodburn,
that never came to pass. So Ben Woodburn, Welsh international, comes on, and Woodman with this free kick on the left of the penalty area, just outside, up through the middle. Sirkin will nod this back away from Woodburn to Patterson, who rolls it out now to Ballard into the final 5 minutes of the 90. Absolutely intrigued to see how much James Linnington's going to add on. There haven't been that many stoppages, a couple of injuries, but no extended stoppages. Here's Ballard, forwards to Pritchard, who turns it quickly up through the middle, looking for Hermir. Just wouldn't fall for him. Watmo heads it away. Brad Potts got clipped by Clark, but play goes on. The referee noticed it, but he's let play go. And here's Sirkin. Holmes is trying to get the ball off him. It's a lot of shirt pulling again by Sirkin. Then Sirkin sort of elbows into Dwayne Holmes. The referee saw it, let play go on. And Pritchard's out on the right to Barr. Barr, lovely little flick. And the ball, well, he should have won a free kick, but the referee's played the advantage. Barr's gone down at the edge of the penalty area, and the result of all that is a throw in the end. Southampton 3, Norwich 4.
Is it a throw-in?
Yeah, Roberts with the throw now to Hume. Played the initial advantage with the foul on Barr, and then not the next one. Barr then lays it off here to Hume. Hume's cross, and it's through the 6-yard box or over it, out to Clark on the left-hand side here. He's going to come in past Holmes, plays it back to Neil, floats the ball in towards Hermir. Watmo heads it out, and it'll be Woodburn to try and drive it up to Keane. It breaks from him eventually off the back of a Sunderland player. And now Holmes down this right-hand side. He turns away from Neil, plays it back to Story, and Potts is away down the right. Squares it for Keane. Keane shoots. It's blocked though by Hume. Comes back down for Keane. Lays it off to Potts on the right. And Potts now trying to get in down the right side of the penalty area. Holds off Hume. Leaves it for Dwayne Holmes. Man on, says the crowd. And a foul by Clark on Holmes. Picks himself up, and a free kick on the right here on the angle just outside the penalty area. 2 or 3 minutes left of the 90. Preston lead 2-1. Clark being spoken to by the referee. Alan Brown is going to take the free kick. Dwayne Holmes goes back to keep an eye on Barr, who's back up on the halfway line. Clark jogging out up towards there as well now for the counter-attack. Brown with the free kick, drives us in towards the far post. Up goes Watmore, heads it behind. He broke away though and got a free header.
Yeah.
But a goal kick to Sunderland. Quickly taken, short out to Hume on the far side. Hume stops, plays it to Roberts inside. Gets away from Woodburn, gets away from Holmes, gets away from Ledson. And now pushes it through to Barr in the penalty area. They run in behind, and Watmore managed to scoop it out behind for a goal, for a corner kick.
Final pass, Nick. How many times have we got round the back? We've not been able to pick anybody out.
Now with 2 or 3 in a good position to equalise. Here's Pritchard down the right. Barr again, pulls it back to Hume. Hume into the box with his cross, headed away by Story. It'll come out for a throw on the left. Into the last minute. Sirkin with the throw. Clark's back down on this left-hand side. Neil coming up here, hole 4, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Holmes cuts it out, keeps it on the goal line, and it's knocked out behind by Dan Neil. Goal kick to Preston. Hartlepool 2, Gateshead 1. We're seconds away from the 90. How much time's going to be added on here?
6 minutes.
You think 6 or you know 6?
No, I'm hoping.
Here comes the board, and it's 5 minutes.
Official has indicated there'll be a minimum of 5 minutes added time at the end of the game. There is a minimum of 5 minutes added on time at the end of the game.
Well, we're into the end of the game now. We're in those 5 minutes. Here's Neil. Great ball down the right wing for Barr, but he needs help. Coming forwards is Roberts. Barr at the corner of the penalty area. Barr in the box. Squares it. It's cut out.
Final pass.
Comes out to Hume. Rolls it to Sirkin. Sirkin just back behind him to Clark. Clark now looks up and he's trying to find an opening. Plays it out to the left to Sirkin. Sirkin closed down by Potts. Sirkin plays it back to Clark. Clark on the left of midfield. Curls a ball in. Hooked away again by Lindsay. Comes out into midfield. Woodburn looking for it. O'Nien goes in to try and win it. But back it comes to Ledson. Lifts it down the right wing. Ballard and Keane chase this. It goes out. It's a throw to Sunderland. 4 minutes left. Brighton 4, Luton 1. Ballard's throw to Dan Neil. Back to Dan Ballard on the left. Plays it into the middle to Patterson. Patterson pushing up now and rolling it to O'Nien. O'Nien forwards to Barr on the right wing. Barr crashes off Roberts.
Wrong
comes
position.
to Keane. Keane now out on the left touchline in the Preston half. Behind him is played to Hughes, and then forwards again to Keane. Birmingham 1, Leeds 0, and Barr now looking to cross. It's headed away by Watmore, and then headed on by Hughes straight up to O'Nien, trying to get his foot on it. Hume, but Preston get it away down the left again to Woodburn, and then O'Nien knocks it out.
He was going nowhere.
Throw to Preston. 3 minutes left. Preston leading 2-1. Referee encouraging someone from Preston to get down here. And Woodburn finally goes across and pretends to look as though he's going to get the ball. It was a free kick in the end from O'Nien's foul, and it's tapped to Hughes by Woodburn. Hughes trying to get it forwards, but one back by Sunderland. Pritchard now out to Barr, stabbed away by Hughes. Hughes gets it again, trying to get it to Woodburn. It's on the touchline inside to Hughes. Hughes inside again to Holmes, just flicked it past Keane, and Ballard gets it now to Sirkin on this left-hand side, and forwards to Clark.
Clark inside.
Rolled off his feet by Potts. Clark got a foot to it again, but it comes back to Lindsay, who plays it back to Woodman. Hamir chases, but Woodman kicks it high over him, back into the Sunderland half. Potts stretches, gets it back to Brown, out to Holmes on the right-hand side, and there's 2 minutes left. And a battle on the touchline, Neil and Dwayne Holmes and Pritchard. In the end, Holmes gets a foot to it, through to Keane, who leaves it for Potts, who's fouled by Ballard, who was booked earlier in the game, but no further action. And a free kick here to Preston, just inside the Sunderland half on the right side of midfield. A minute and a half left of the minimum 5. Preston leading 2-1. And Alan Brown's going to take the free kick. Referee is going to book him for time wasting. He joins Will Keane in James Linnington's book. Brown then with the free kick, just chips it down the right wing. Dan Neil heads it in the air. O'Nien tries to head it back down the line, and we've a minute left of the minimum 5. Sirkin to O'Nien, who nods it down to Ballard, out to Hume on the far side. Hume head down in the sun on the far wing, trying to get it up to Hamir. Lindsay heads it away. Barr tries to head it back to Hamir. He leaves it now for Roberts. Roberts across here to Clark. He's caught by Potts. That'll be a card for Potts. A yellow shown.
This will be the last opportunity, Nick.
It will. 30 seconds of the minimum 5 left. Can Pritchard do something special from this free kick? Roberts maybe. It's a tad further out than Pritchard would probably like. Conversation between Roberts, Pritchard and Neil at the moment. Roberts strolls away. Neil and Pritchard over the free kick, and Preston hold the line at the edge of the penalty area.
Is this Dan Neil to Pritchard to shoot?
Well, I do wonder. And it's tapped to Roberts and back to Pritchard to shoot, and somehow it works its way through, off the foot of Neil, off the defender and behind for a corner. It was well worked, but didn't quite work in the final 6 yards, where it just rolled over the foot of O'Nien off the defender. Pritchard then with this corner on the right-hand side. Patterson's up. He's on the penalty spot. Pritchard, it hangs in the air here, and it's headed back by Ballard to Clark. Clark drives it in, it's blocked, and there's a break, is there? But Neil stops the break from Woodburn. It's headed away again, and that will be it. The whistle blown.
It's all over.
Preston win 2-1. Sunderland's players are flat out, 3 or 4 of them lying on the grass. But they weren't able to turn it round this afternoon. Not through dint of effort, but in the end they just couldn't find a way through.
They couldn't find a way through, Nick, and sometimes you need a little bit of luck. That's what Preston had. You know, it'd be interesting to see the stats on the game. I think Sunderland dominated the game, but one thing we didn't do is, when we did get round the back, how many times our final pass was poor. We didn't pick anybody out.
Couple of chances, and wonderful save from Woodman by